All right. We are running a little bit late just because my life schedule has kind of come up, unfortunately, but we should be good now. Let's see. It says we are streaming to all of the locations. Fantastic. Run should be joining us any minute, and let's just make sure we didn't just have like a 2-second live stream. We did! Fantastic. Let's delete that. Edit it? How do you delete this from here? Well, first off, let's make it not public. Private only. Done. Save. No one's going to see that. And then we can delete it. Maybe I can't delete it from on here. Anyways, whatever. It's not public. No one's going to see it. Good enough. Now, last week, for those who are around, we did... I'm just totally vamping. This won't be part of the show. Last week being 2 weeks ago, I guess, we did my top 20 with Brian, which was a ton of fun to go over. And now he's going to be on here. He's going to make up his top 20, or he has been doing it. He sent me, he's been talking to me all week where he's been like, oh man, I'm down to like 37. I'm like, you still got a ways to go there, bud. Still got a little ways to go. So we'll have to see what he comes up with. He did share me like 10 honorable mentions, and it was a pretty solid list. So I'm really looking forward to this one. What is it I'm actually looking for? Let's go here. I guess he'll call me when he's ready. Did you watch anything new worth sharing? Yes, but we're gonna get into that. We'll wait for Run. I'll let you know. I saw Godzilla -1, which is one that I was looking forward to for a while. But I know that Brian saw it as well, so we'll definitely touch on that.
Shut up and take my money.
Demarin just subscribed for a 4th month in a row. My goodness, man, that's amazing. It's got to be either Foster Hefe. It's Hefe. How you doing, bud? Thank you so much, D-Marin. I really, truly appreciate that. That's incredible. I am looking for that. Sorry. Trying to do like 7 things at once. I've been working this week. I usually do 8 to 4. This week I've been noon to 8. So I literally just got home, changed my pants, and jumped on the internet. So I apologize if I'm a little discombobulated. We're trying to get everything figured out. Burnsy says Godzilla -1 was fantastic. We'll talk about it. I don't disagree. I just don't agree as strongly as I wanted to. Leaving it there. But yeah, so I saw that one. I have changed his pants. In other words, not wearing any. I mean, you're not wrong. I'm wearing shorts, so I'm not wearing pants technically. So you got me. You got me there, Jim. I half-ass watched a movie last night with my wife called The Neighbor. What's up, Dingo? It's a little older one. I feel like I watched it before. Like it was like familiar enough, but I couldn't have told you what was. Well, I mean, I could have told you what was going to happen because it was very predictable. But I couldn't like told you what was going to happen because I remembered it. It was just one of those like something about this is striking. I feel like I've seen this before. All right, announcements. What are we doing? Oh, right. I'm just announcing that I'm here. So this week we're going to be talking to Brian about his top 20. On Saturday, I've got, I probably don't have an actual graphic of this up because we're not that professional. I've got Ambassador Al and Sen Raven coming on the show to do some movie trivia. I just went back over, this is going to be my 4th episode, 2 of which are on the website. If you go !movies, there's a new YouTube channel for me that is Mongoli's movie show. So if you're subscribed to my like gaming YouTube, you're not going to see any of this content over there anymore. I'm not putting any of it over there. I don't want to like dilute that, but if you head over to Mongoli's movie show, that's where all the old episodes live. So I just went through the episode where we had Run 7 and Dulam on. I went through the episode where we had Cleaning Agent and Eros World on, and I'd never actually published the episode with Bendable Straws and Zero Cool Gamer because the audio on it is pretty rough. So I did listen to it again. I cut out the parts that were just really, really brutal. It's not great, but I think I'm going to post it anyways, just because like it happened. They're both really fun guys. I'm really glad they were there. And worst case scenario, I'm going to go back and listen to it in like 10 years. You know what I mean? Like I want to have it for me if nobody else listens to it. So we'll see. These videos will also end up over there. I'm going to start, like, I mean, I'm debating because right now we are streaming there live. What's up, Fost? Good evening. We're streaming live to Facebook, Twitch, and Mongoli Show, or my YouTube channel. I'm probably going to stop streaming to the YouTube channel, record this live on Twitch, and then edit it down and put the edited version on YouTube, because they seem to do better at actual videos than they do if they're just live streams. We'll see how that goes. But that's kind of the plan that we're running with here. Either way, been a ton of fun. So we got that coming up on Saturday. It's Ambassador Alan Raven doing the movie trivia. And again, if anybody out there wants to come on by and join us for the movie trivia, you are more than welcome to send me a message, however you can find me, whether it's here, Discord. If you have me as a friend on Facebook, let me know. And we can figure that out, assuming you've got like a microphone and a web camera. And then next Thursday, so 1 week from today, my brother's coming back on for our top 5 twist ending movies. Now, I'm going to be putting a poll up on YouTube for what the next one should be, but by all means, throw out your suggestions, I guess starting now, but more specifically next week when that episode is. Throw out your suggestions for what you want the next top 5 to be. I'm going to be doing that once a month with him, so as long as it's not a... I mean, there'll be some categories we'll probably veto. Like, my brother is not a horror fan whatsoever, so I can't imagine that's going to happen. But there's a lot of stuff we would absolutely take, and if you give us that option, we'll have a month to kind of go through and figure out our lists. I'm pretty sure my top 5 twist ending movies figured out. People had originally suggested it be top 5 shocking endings / twist endings, and the more I thought about it, the more those are 2 completely different things. So I decided to leave that one for a different time. Like, shocking endings could be a totally different category. So I'm personally just doing twist endings. Now, I haven't been able to connect to my brother. I tried reaching out to him the last couple of days, and he's just kind of ignoring me. So I don't know what his list is going to look like. Maybe he'll have shocking endings, but I'm hoping he will also stick to more twist ending things. We shall see. We are also, let's grab a random question from a pack. Comedy Classics is what the box says. Not only are we doing the movie trivia show as an actual game show, but during the episodes where we're talking about movies, I'm also going to ask questions of the audience live. If you are a subscriber of the channel and you are the first or second person to get it right, you can score points. And again, if you're a subscriber, in October when I do the anniversary bash, I'm actually going to give away cash prizes to people in the lead. Currently, Sen Raven's in the lead with 2 points, so somebody can dethrone him pretty easily, I'm sure. Grab a random card. There's 2 questions here. Let's see which one we're going to go with. Where is Peter Bretter on holiday when he runs into his ex and her new boyfriend in Forgetting Sarah Marshall? That movie got panned. I actually really enjoyed that one. My wife and I both really care for it. It's not like the greatest movie ever, but it's a lot of fun. We've seen it multiple times at this point, but like the first time we watched it, I remember just dying. It was so funny. It was really well done. Never seen it, unfortunately. I mean, the longer this takes, the faster you can Google. I don't want to have that be a thing, but at the same time, like, I figure if you know the answer, you can answer it a lot faster than somebody who's trying to Google the answer. But at the same time, if nobody figures it out, then, you know, Google your heart out. Figure it out. You got this. Can you say it again? I sure can. Where is Peter Bretter on holiday when he runs into his ex and her new boyfriend in Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Gonna guess Paris. No, I can't give you Paris, unfortunately. I'm also bummed I won't be able to watch the twist ending episode. Well, it's gonna be... Oh, there it is, Delgarn. All right, so Burnsy, you get 5 points, and Delgarn, you get 2 points. Well done, gentlemen. We'll have a couple more questions throughout the episode as this continues, so stay tuned. They are kind of random on purpose to make you, you know, stay engaged. Support Dingo, you're saying you're bummed you won't be able to watch the twist ending episode. It's going to be live on YouTube. Well, not live on YouTube. It's going to be, well, it's going to be forever on YouTube. So there's no reason you can't watch it. You just can't watch it live, bud. So no excuses. You got this. I agree, Delgarn. Lots of people don't, but I agree. And that was just a random card I pulled. Let's text Brian and just see what's up. He said he'd be here in a few minutes, but I don't know if he's waiting for me to call him or... Nope. Getting my own notifications for my show going live. That's fun. That's fun. No rush, but I'm live. Call me when you're ready. All right, so before he gets here, what has the audience been watching recently? I've mentioned a couple of the ones that I've been watching. I'm going to definitely go over them more when Brian gets here. Another one that I watched was called One Life with Hannibal the Cannibal. What the hell is his name? Gene Hackman. With Gene Hackman. Really interesting movie, really well done. It's a little bit Schindler's List light. So like if Schindler's List was a bit too much for you, this is a really good story that's similar, like same kind of thing. It takes place in the 1980s, but he has flashbacks to the 40s, or I guess the late 30s, when the Nazis were invading. Is it Czechoslovakia? Poland? No, it wasn't Poland, I don't think. Whatever country they were invading. I guess it was Poland first, wasn't it? Anyways, and he's trying to get kids out. So he's trying to desperately get all these kids that are like homeless, essentially. Their parents have gone conscripted off to war or killed. And he's desperately trying to save as many of the kids as he possibly can. Really, really heartwarming movie. Really, really well played. And of course, Gene Hackman is just absolutely incredible. It is a heavier one, and it's played very seriously. Obviously, there's no levity to it, but I really enjoyed it. Anthony Hopkins is absolutely the right answer, not Gene Hackman. My apologies. Answer the phone, Dan. Is it ringing? Missed call. Apparently it was ringing. My bad. I'm shocked I didn't hear that. Join call. All right, give it. Whoa, Jesus, that was loud. Okay. How you doing? No, it's on my end, I'm sure. All right. Let's pretend we've all good. Unlimited power. Remind me to turn those off before we actually get started. Oh yeah, you can't hear those. Sorry, somebody just redeemed channel points.
Emotional, damn it.
Yep, working on it. We're going live.
Damn!
Making it big. Looking at you. You're glitchier than normal.
The champ is here!
Uh-huh.
The champ is here!
I have arrived.
The champ is here!
Holla.
The champ!
All right.
Make Sticky great again.
They're just blowing all of the points while they can. Can you talk, like just say literally anything for 1 second? Okay. And you're getting it. Oh. Okay. They're just going crazy because I said I was going to turn them off. There we go. No channel points. You ruined it, guys. Okay, sorry. You're hearing an echo. I don't hear an echo at all. Does the audience hear an echo? It's the phone, Dan. So furious. Wow, worst streamer ever. Calm down, T-Daz. Burnsies, no echo. Commander Foss, no echo. Anti-Valor, no run at all. No run at all. Well, helps refresh you on the right screen. Oh, they're saying they're not even hearing you. Okay. Sorry. Well, that works except for nobody can hear you. Well, nobody could hear you before, so I don't imagine it changed. Which is shocking because, like, I'm seeing in OBS when you talk, things are bouncing around. That's not nice to say about T-Daz, man. That's mean. That's mean. All right. That's going to the stream. So the only thing I can think of is I was playing with my audio the other day because I'm so freaking sick of this happening, but I don't think I actually... Here, 1 second. Oh, I can hear you totally fine. I'm positive it's on my end. You've got to give me 2 seconds. Don't change anything. Facecam, guest 1? That's not going to be right. Logo, direct, nuke. I did not know that. Okay, can people... Now you talk and see what people hear. That's a great question.
Can we only hear good content now?
Can you guys hear run now? Did that change anything? Still no. Let's try turning all of them on. Oh, stop that. I don't disagree. We're Streamer Ever Part 2. Yeah, no, this is like part 700 of this, dude. We've been failing at this for a while. It's a small couch, bud. Get in. Get in nice and tight. Yeah. Cleaning agent and I were trying to hug last week. It wasn't quite working. It's the annoying part is we have more people right now with me failing than we had like last week when we were actually having a conversation. I was talking to him about editing some stuff. Turn off. Yep. That was happening last week as well. So the problem is, like, I'm looking at my output on OBS, and because I'm recording, I can't change anything. So I think, unfortunately, we have to shut the stream down, figure this, but I can't figure it because I can hear you just fine. So I can't, without an audience, tell what you're... Well, I'm not recording. Like, I'm just streaming currently. If we were just recording, that'd be amazing because, like, OBS is hearing you just fine. I'm hearing you just fine. I do. That's... That got very loud for a second. Give me 1 second.
Thanks, T-Dats.
I really only stream to make other streamers look
Ron
better.
should type his comments, donate a bit and let the robot speak for
Well,
him.
you got your work cut out with me, buddy.
All right, we got it. We got it. Okay. People are
it's
saying
working?
they can hear you. It's probably pretty loud. Give me 1 second to figure.
Okay.
Talk at your normal volume, and I can adjust it. So it's...
ZYXWVUTRSQPONMLKJFHGFEDCB. A is the last letter of this song and the first letter of the next one. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Do you want me to stop now?
I think we're good.
He's too loud. Mute him.
We tried that. Everybody complained. Okay. Everybody can
Okay.
hear Run. Everybody can hear me. Everything sounds, I mean, as good as we're going to get it. That was so
Yeah,
stupid.
let's just not sit in each other's lap for this video, though.
Oh, come on. What happens if I just move my arm a little bit?
No, please, no. That's horrible.
That's a channel redemption right there, baby. All right.
Oh my god.
Oh, geez. Can I sit back?
Okay, and then somehow share your screen that you're, because I'm on the 10-second Twitch delay. It's killing me. It's just driving me nuts.
Are you? Okay. Go live. Can you not see that?
All I see is me on the green screen. I'm seeing the same picture I'm sharing to you.
All right. I don't imagine that's gonna. Yeah, that's not gonna do it.
I can make a picture full screen? That's cool. That'll come in handy when I'm doing a movie night with somebody. I'm sick and tired. I knew there was a way I could make it full screen. Bring Discord over here. I'm going to bring chat over to this side.
I was sharing your green screen. Like I was literally sharing the Discord app.
What's going on?
Wow.
Okay,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
better. Now I've got the full screen over here and I've got chat on the left. This is fantastic. All right,
All
I'm
right.
ready.
I can see you. Yay. That didn't take long. All right. Kind of going along with the whole, my God, there's so much chat that I've completely ignored. Sorry, guys. What I would like to do, theoretically, is we can have our little, like, that nonsense that just happened. And if there's anything else you want to say or whatnot, and then I can actually hit the record button, and then actually start the episode. We'll talk about, I think you want to go over Citizen Kane to some extent. We both
Before
want to
I
talk about
forget and miss it
Godzilla minus
all
one.
over again.
And I'll make you watch it again before we talk about it.
No, please don't. I had to rent it twice, which already makes me feel horrible. And watch it once in 30-minute increments.
You'll be fine. Okay. And then you watched Godzilla minus one as well, right? Did you finish that one?
I watched Godzilla minus one. I watched Madam Web, unfortunately.
Oh God, why?
Oh, jeez. I just had to find out if it really was as bad as they say it is. And spoiler, it is.
All right. So we are recording. Obviously, we'll do a better intro, or I can do a better intro and then just kind of cut to us. But hey, Brian, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, Dan. This is not at all.
This will get
awkward
better.
intro to our video, is it?
I can edit it. It'll be fine. Yeah. So how do we want to start?
I don't know.
Terrible answer.
Okay. So taking it from the top. So what'd you watch lately, Dan?
Recently, actually last night I was watching a movie with my wife that I think I'd seen before, but I wasn't able to quite place it. You know what I mean? Like it seemed familiar enough. Maybe I just saw the trailer. I have no idea. It was called The Neighbor, starring Hilary Swank and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think his name is. movie of a woman who moves to New York, can't afford a good place, finds a cheaper place, but obviously there's a catch, and the catch is, that the landlord is an absolute creep show and, is spying on her and falling in love with her and whatnot. It was not a great movie, but it was a really good movie to play a cell phone game to while your wife was watching. You know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those, I can kind of ignore this and still find some entertainment value in it just being on in the background.
And is this The Neighborhood or it's The Neighbor?
I believe it's called The Neighbor.
Oh wow, I can't even find it.
Oh really? It was on
Yeah.
Netflix. Oh man, I have to check the name again.
Oh, here we go. The Neighbor, 2017. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Oh, Amy's
Okay.
saying The Resident. My bad.
Oh, is it The Resident?
Apparently.
Oh. Well, then let me look that up.
I'm straight up telling you, it was fine. This is by no means a recommendation whatsoever. This is
Okay.
have something on in the background while you're doing something else and just kind of tune in and out.
All right. Hey, I like this guy. He's from so this is the one with Matt, I can't pronounce his last name. Churchy? Zurchi? That's The Resident?
Well, now I got to look it up because I thought it was like Jeffrey Dean Morgan or something.
Oh, I think it was The Neighbor. I think you had it right the first time.
I'm looking
The
up Hilary
Neighbor with-
Swank and going there.
William Fichtner? We're spending a lot of time trying to find a movie that you're not even recommending to me.
Yep. I was just going to talk about it briefly, but now we're deep into it. Anyways, what have you seen recently? There is The Resident, Dr. Julie DeVere.
Okay, so
She was right. It is The Resident. My apologies.
it is The Resident. And is that Chechny guy? I can't pronounce his last name.
Hilary Swank, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Christopher Lee are the three big players. So
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong Resident then. But it's not worth it, you say, huh? Just it passed the time, but that was about it.
Pretty much
Okay.
that exactly.
Well, I wish I would have watched that instead of Madam Web.
That's
Because
fair.
Madam Web was horrible from start to finish. I have absolutely nothing good to say about this movie except that it is over and I don't ever have to watch it again. This was an epic waste of my time. There was not even any entertainment value in it whatsoever. I was just eye rolling at everything. The plot was terrible. The script was horrible. The acting was the worst. And I think the absolute worst part about the movie was the transition of the main character into the character Madam Web. It was not cohesive. It did not make sense at all. A little bit of a spoiler. At the end,
Oh no, don't spoil this. I really wanted to see it.
At the end, she becomes blind and paraplegic, and she's suddenly all just mystical, whimsical, and smiling and creepy out of nowhere. It didn't make any sense at all for that transition to take place. The movie was... They over-alluded to everything. The foreshadowing was off the charts. You knew everything that was going to happen before it happened. And when you get down to it, she can see the future, so she knows how to solve every problem the right way. And so there's no, she's going to win. It's just a matter of how. And it's like, okay, I'm just watching you tell us what is going to happen next, and we know you're going to win. And I mean, honestly, if she could see so far into the future, I'm kind of surprised that she let herself become, paralyzed from the waist down and blind, but whatever. I guess she found that was the only way to get through it. It was just an atrocious film from start to finish.
Wait,
absolutely the worst.
She could see the future before being blinded and paraplegic?
Yes. At the very end, she has it all mapped out how she's going to beat the bad guy. And I guess she failed to look a little past beating the bad guy, like the overall result. I don't know. It was dumb. It was. I don't think anybody should bother seeing this. It's the Sony side of things, and so of course there's no Marvel characters that we really care about at all. It just had nothing for me whatsoever. I literally watched this to see how bad it was, and it was as bad as everyone says it is.
Lived up to your expectations?
Yeah, lived up to my epically low expectations.
Now, did you see Morbius at all?
I watched most of Morbius, but ended up turning it off before the end because it too was pretty atrocious. I should have stopped with this one. I just kept thinking, okay, well, how does she become Madam Web? And
I really have to know.
You have to wait to the very end to see it. And honestly, it's like everything's over and they're like, okay, we're going to put her in a chair and make her blind now. And that was it.
Now, my understanding from what I've heard is you do have a couple of different Spider Women in this movie, but you never see them in costume, or if you do, it's like in like a 10-second dream sequence or
Right,
something like
yep.
that. Like they're never actually doing anything.
That's
or,
right. I couldn't even tell you what spider people they were because the sequences were so fast, such flashes. So it's their spider alter ego personalities or whatever. Those are visions of the future. They're cameo appearances in the movie. And the girls that play those characters before they get their powers or whatever are really horrible. Like
Okay.
they're the worst child actors that aren't really child actors because they're like, oh yeah, we're 17. No, you're 24 pretending to be 17.
It's like the
It was
90s all
really-
over again.
Yeah, there's nothing good about the movie. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I don't mind the first Venom. I like the first Venom. The second Venom was, I never bothered with Morbius. I don't plan on bothering with this one or Craven. Like the Sony Spider-Man universe either needs to start bringing in Spider-Man or stopping.
Yeah, I'm hoping they're going to stop. There's a lot of theories going around with the new Venom 3. I don't know if you saw that trailer, The Last Dance. It looks good. For me, I thought Venom 1 was a little soft, but that's because I am a huge Tom Hardy fan. He might be one of my favorite actors, if not the favorite actor of mine.
Okay.
He has some epic stuff. We'll talk about some of his on my top 20. And I felt that the Venoms was one of his weakest roles, and I don't think it was really his fault. I felt they didn't give him enough room in the role to really dive into it. I felt he should have been more really tormented by Venom being a part of him, and they made it more comical, and it didn't allow him to really dive deep into the role, I felt. And I thought Venom 2 was a little bit better just because I also like Woody Harrelson, and I thought he played a good crazy Carnage, and that was it. But it was pretty cheesy too. I'm really hoping they bring it together with Venom 3. I'm looking forward to seeing a symbiote horse.
I would. Okay, so I have not watched the trailer for Venom yet. It's one of the things I was planning on doing, like a reaction video or something, and then this week has just completely gotten away from me, so I haven't really had any time to do much of anything other than work. But that I definitely want to check that video, the trailer out for it. I like Woody Harrelson. I like the idea of him as Carnage. I just wish they'd done more with him. Like he never felt menacing. You know what I mean? Like they kind of told you he's scary, but at no point was I like, holy crap, this is a sociopath. And like Woody Harrelson, I feel like could play a crazy serial killer, but instead they were like kind of going really heavy into the camp and not really heavy into the serial killer. I don't know.
I think if they allowed that movie to be a rated R film, I think they could have dived into those characters much more. But they wanted to keep it light, keep it kind of surface level. And those are some powerful lead roles right there. Those guys should have been allowed to really go for it. And they weren't given the room to breathe.
Now, the first one was rated R, was it not? And then they went PG-13 for the second one? Like, I think they dumbed it down.
Boy, it sure didn't feel like a rated R movie, that first one.
Well, that's fair. That's totally fair. But the second one should have been and definitely was not.
Yeah. Now, you watched something that I watched also. We got something to compare here, don't we?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Godzilla Minus One is the film you're talking about, correct?
That's it. That's
now,
the one.
You let me know that this was on Netflix because you were like, oh, this is on Canadian Netflix. I don't have it in America. I was like, oh, that sucks. And you were just like, oh, wait, never mind, I do. So I was like, cool, let's watch it and talk about it.
I saw this big article about it, how America wasn't going to get it. And they're like, we'll update you if this changes and everything. And I was so sad. And I was like, hey, how about screen sharing it with me and everything? And then I looked on Netflix and there it was. And I was like, well, that was something to do about nothing there. And so, yeah, I got to watch it. And I don't know. I want to hear your reaction first.
Okay, so I tried to get my wife to watch this with me because I'd been heard from a friend that this is much more of a human interest story than a Godzilla movie. And she's like, well, let me watch the trailer. And I'm like, oh, the trailer's going to be 100% Godzilla for 3 minutes. There's no way this is going to move the needle. And it was. And she's like, nah, I'm good. It's like, all right, watch this one by myself. So I turned it on and it went straight to, I always get this wrong, dubbed, right? So it was in English. And so I was watching this and I was like kind of half-assed doing something else. So I was like, okay, it kind of works that it's dubbed, but also it just sounds awful. And I'm just like, oh. So I got about halfway through it dubbed and I was like, nope, I gotta just like full pay attention, switch to sub mode. And so finished it off like that, and I enjoyed it way more in sub mode than I did in dub mode. Even though I don't understand a lick of what they're saying, it just sounds better somehow. Like the actors feel like they're giving more of a performance.
Right.
So I did start enjoying it more after that. I think the human interest story in this one is phenomenal. Like dealing with post World War II Japan, dealing with the lack of honor and like all the things that he wants, but he doesn't allow himself to have. For anybody who doesn't know, just the really brief synopsis is the main character is a kamikaze pilot who pretends that his plane doesn't work properly, so he can't kamikaze, and lands on this remote island in the middle of the ocean to have the mechanics try and take a look at it. The mechanics can't find anything wrong with it. Godzilla attacks that island, kills pretty much all the mechanics, and then he goes back to the mainland, and then Godzilla ends up attacking the mainland as well. And so he's kind of racked with guilt this entire time about like, oh, if only I'd done something more, I could have maybe prevented this. And I found that aspect of the story really
he
interesting.
had that opportunity as well on that island. He had an opportunity to kill the Godzilla when it was like a baby Godzilla, and he didn't take the opportunity. He was too scared, and he didn't fire. And
do you think he would have actually been able to?
I don't think so. No,
me
By
neither.
the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, that wouldn't have done anything. But he thought that he could have stopped it.
I think the mechanics thought he could have stopped it.
Yeah, and the mechanics thought he could have stopped it too. And so they all thought that, and him too, he thought that he was responsible for all those guys dying on the island as well.
Yeah. So all of that I found really interesting. And the first time you see Godzilla, he's like a Tyrannosaurus size when he's attacking the island. And I thought he looked really cool.
Yeah, he did. He looked really cool.
And the next time you see him, he's gigantic. Like they see a nuclear bomb go off, and you see him, and he kind of like starts mutating. You just start to see like a really close up on his face when that happens. And then the next time you see him, he's in the water and he's swimming. And again, it's kind of like, it's almost like Jaws, where you're not really seeing everything. You're just seeing enough to know like I should be afraid right now. And again, I was like, this looks pretty cool. And then he made it to the mainland, and I lost all interest in the movie. Because he looks so ridiculously dorky. And I get that that's on me, because he actually looks exactly like Godzilla's supposed to.
Right.
Except for the reason he looks like that is because that's the best we could do in 1950 or whenever the first Godzilla movie was made. But after you've seen Tyrannosaurus Godzilla and then you move to that version of it, it was painful. Where it's almost like a CG version of a guy in a rubber suit walking around Tokyo, and you're like, what are you doing? You nailed this at the beginning of the movie. It looked terrifying. Why are we doing this now? And even his face, he doesn't look like menacing like a Tyrannosaurus or like a Velociraptor. He's kind of like he ran into a wall or something. And it's just like
stuffy. Like he looked almost cuddly in the face. He had rounded features and everything.
His eyes threw me off.
But still, yeah.
Now,
it was not good.
I did think it looked okay. Now, this movie has a famously incredibly small budget. And so I think they did really well with I think it's like $15 million or something. Now,
I was blown away by it too, because I was expecting I heard it had a really low budget, and I was like, wow, they really did a lot with this.
Yeah, for sure. So I compliment them for doing that, and I wish more Hollywood movies would do that, because you'd start seeing actual profits, and then maybe we'd see movies do a bit better as opposed to the $375 million Indiana Jones movie, which is anyways, that's a whole different thing. I really did like the story to this movie. I thought they did a great job with the cinematography or the graphics for what budget they had. I wish they went a different direction with what Godzilla actually looked like.
I agree with you 100% on everything you just said. I'm right there with you. Godzilla had these thunder thigh legs, and he walked so slow. He was just good dunk. Like it was really that slow.
Yeah.
And every time you see him, there's the cliche Asian people screaming over their shoulder as they run from Godzilla. And I'm like, dude, just make a left. He's going so slow. You could outrun him on foot. You don't even need a bicycle to beat this guy. He's moving so slow. And yet everywhere he went, there's people directly in front of him running straight away from him. And I'm like, just turn. That's all you got to do.
I was seriously thinking
over and over and over.
I was seriously thinking, like, run under his legs. Just go directly for him.
Right. He was moving his feet so slow. You could just veer.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was kind of crazy that the worst part of the Godzilla movie was Godzilla. That's literally, I mean, that guy that played the lead, like seeing the culture, and I mean, because their culture of honor, and I'm an American, so I don't know anything. I'm just talking out of my ass here. But I've watched a lot of World War II movies. This is where I get my knowledge from.
Sure.
But this guy, like the culture there is a lot about honor. And so him as a kamikaze pilot not doing his job and dying for his country was so disrespectful to everybody. And it was a big deal that followed him. And that haunted him, and you felt that impact. And you saw he had this wonderful life that he would just not accept. And that was it. Like, he just wouldn't accept it.
Yep.
And then when he did, horrible things happened, which was just a coincidence. But it just compounded his mental and emotional status. Now, there was an ending, right? And there was a lever that was pulled. Now, I saw this foreshadowing, and I thought they were going to go one way, and then they didn't, and he just pulled a different lever. And I was like, what? And it kind of, like, I thought he was going to release the warhead or whatever.
Okay.
And that was going to be it, and he was going to be surprised by it. But they went a different way. I don't want to spoil anybody, because this is a good movie that I do want people to watch. But anyway, the lever at the end caught me off guard. It ultimately, it did what I thought it was going to do, like at the end, but they went about it in a different way than I expected. So I don't know if that caught you off guard, or if you completely saw that coming too.
I wouldn't say that I saw it coming, but I wasn't like blown away by it. It was like, okay, yeah, that checks out. I did really like, and again, we'll try not to ruin anything, the scientist's solution for dealing with him. I thought that was really, really clever, as opposed to just like throw a bigger bomb at him. I was like, right, that's pretty cool. Well done.
I mean, ultimately, they threw a bigger bomb at him, but but yeah, the scientific way of wrecking him, I was like, that's cool. And it's like all sciencey, and it kind of makes sense and everything. It was really neat. Now, Godzilla had regenerative powers, much like Wolverine, which was a kind of a new spin for me. I've never seen that before. I liked it. I thought it made the movie work. I'm glad they did that. What did you think about that?
I am not familiar enough with Godzilla. I have seen they did a Godzilla 2000, which was like a re-release of like one of the first ones. I saw that in theaters and was not a big fan. I saw the Matthew Broderick one a couple of times because we had it on VHS for some reason, and I've seen this. So I don't know enough about him to know that that wasn't one of his powers. So that kind of happened, and I was just like, okay, that's Godzilla.
Okay. Yeah, in the older movies and stuff, basically they just hit him and he shrugged it off. Like, no matter what they hit him with, it just didn't really break his shell, you know?
Okay.
In this one, it was kind of neat to see him take damage and then regenerate from him. And that made sense with the kind of weaponry they were putting on him, you know? And G, I see in chat, when you watch the movie, we're not really like you know what's coming. We're not really spoiling anything with some of these things. There's not many twists or anything, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I thought the acting was great. I did watch it dubbed the whole time because I'm lazy and I don't want to read and I want to look and see what's happening. But I also understand what you're saying. When you listen to it, the translation of the words don't quite line up with the emotion that they're showcasing. And so being able to read it is probably the way to go. I would bet that's the ticket right there.
I wanted to go back to a couple of scenes once I saw that there was a subbed version. Yeah. Sorry, those terms always mess me up. I always want to do them backwards. Once I saw there was a sub version, there's a couple of scenes I wanted to go back to and rewatch, because there's a couple of scenes where they're like, oh, Japan is awful. If only we were better like Americans. And I'm like, is that in the actual cut or is that the Americanized version? Like, we'll see. Yeah. Okay. There's a couple of things like
really
that.
Weird ones. I was like, no one would say it like that. No one would say, they sure wouldn't say it like that.
I wouldn't think so. Overall, though, I thought it was a good movie. I did enjoy it. I did tell my wife after the fact, I was like, you made the right choice. Like,
I have a feeling that I don't know because I'm an American. I just don't understand any kind of foreign culture at all. I would guess that there were some serious political messaging going on in there. And maybe that just has to do with the time period that it dealt with. But it sure felt like they were trying to like kind of say something about Japanese culture and Japanese politics. And they dealt with how their military mistreated the people in the military, just sacrificing them, using them uselessly to prove a pointless point, really. And I thought that was probably pretty powerful. If you're from Japan and understand that culture, I'd like to know more. But it sure felt like there was something going on that, as an American, I just couldn't quite grasp completely. But I could sense that there was something powerful going on with that.
Yeah. There's a scene very, very early on when he's talking to the head mechanic, and the head mechanic is kind of absolving him of quote unquote being a coward, and just like, there's no point. The war's basically over anyways. We've already lost. Why throw your life away? We need more people like you, more people to rebuild Tokyo. And that's like the one person who actually gives him a break. Pretty much everybody else that he meets throughout the movie is like, you're awful, you're a coward, you have no honor. So I thought that was really interesting. And the things happen, but it was a very interesting scene to watch. Knowing very little about Japanese culture other than what you see in movies and whatnot. Have you ever seen Shogun? It's on Disney Plus. So I've only seen the first episode. I really enjoyed it. I just never went back for no good reason. But the very first episode deals with a guy who like speaks out of turn and then has to kill himself and his like 3-month-old kid or something. And it's like, no.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch Shogun. Yeah, I don't remember this. Okay.
Not for, speaking out of turn. I'm not like, if I have to die because I did something, I'd still fight it, but so be it. But like, why does my kid have to die because I'm an idiot? Like, if that was the case, like, it was just brutal. And the wife didn't have to die, so she had to live with now being a widow. And is there a term for when your kids die?
Not an orphan. That's
but
I don't
that
know what
and it was just like, I don't understand. I get that this is also like Shogun takes place in like 1400s or something, but it was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
before we forget, do you want to get to Citizen Kane?
Oh, heck yeah. I have to hear what you have to say about this, although you've already kind of told me.
Yeah. I don't understand why it is still the AFI's #1. I get why it was an amazing feat, an amazing production of cinema for its time. There were some amazing shots that I was like, wow, I know back in the day that was tough. Like I can run on Filmora or Adobe or something like that and make these scenes in minutes, but back then it was tough. That scene where they slowly zoom in on the picture and then it becomes the scene and people start moving around and it's that time period. They've never done anything like that until that movie. Yeah. That was new. There were all these amazing sequences. Like there's a scene where he's talking to some like investors and reporters and stuff, and there's a bunch of dancing girls, and they keep doing the shot from this angle and then from this angle, but they make sure you can see them in the reflection of the window, and then you can see over the shoulder, so you see everything. Every time the camera moves, you can still see everyone in the frame from every angle, and it was just a brilliant shot. And then all these other sequences where they're in these great, big, vast hallways that just show this huge amount of wealth and luxury and all that. And yet it's so empty and cold and just dreary. And it was amazing. The cinematography for that movie was incredible. And for the time, just blow the doors off, right? I thought that was great. I thought the acting had some good ones and some bad ones. I thought his second wife, she was terrible. The opera singer who was not a good opera singer, she was really terrible. Even in her last moments, I just felt, this is really subpar. I don't know why she's getting the nod for this one. I thought Orson Welles did great in all of his sequences. I thought that Jordan guy who didn't like him and he fired him because he was writing a bad piece about his opera singer wife, I thought he did a really good job, but some of his scenes felt a little bit rushed, and the makeup on him didn't make him look old when he should have looked old, although Orson Welles progressed in age marvelously through that movie. I think there was a lot going on, but at this time, I think we can take that off the #1 spot. I think there have been accomplishments in cinema since then that have done amazing enough things that it doesn't deserve the #1 spot anymore. Recognition for sure, fantastic movie for its time. I just felt there were some flaws in it, and I think the overall was not a perfect production, but just an amazing feat in a myriad of ways. And so I would like to see that move down the list a bit. I think there's been some other stuff. For one, I think Godfather, which is normally number 2 on that list, I think that's a much better pick for number 1, because I think The Godfather is an overall better movie and a better accomplishment. So my problem with it is that it no longer deserves the number 1 spot. And it was a snooze to watch in this day and age, because, you know, it's an older movie, but I mean, I get it. You watch those old black and white films today, there's no fast action, it lacks the pizzazz of somebody who's, raised on Ritalin these days, and has TV in front of them all the time. But so that was kind of my thing. I just don't think it deserves the number 1 spot anymore. And I had some questions about some different things that went through it. So tell me your thoughts on Citizen Kane.
I just think it's hilarious. I was expecting you to rip into this movie, and for like a minute and a half, you were just praising it and like the cinematography and how well made it was. I was like, oh, those are going to be my points. Okay, never mind. I guess I can't.
Sorry, I didn't mean to 8 Mile you there in reverse.
No. It's good. It's good. So I can't argue with people their opinion. You found it boring. I can't no, it's not. I don't find it boring. I've seen it 4 times now. Yeah. I really do enjoy it. Is it like we did my top 20 last week? I didn't put it on there. Like it's not one of my favorite movies of all time. I just enjoy it. I think it does still have things to say that are relevant in today's society. I think there is something magical about the way that it's milled. Like, yes, you and I can make those scene transitions now in OBS pretty easily, but for the time frame they were doing it, for the amount of effort they had to put into things like that, it is still really impressive. And I love watching old movies like that to some extent, where you're just kind of like, how did they do this? Like my wife and I watched Ben-Hur like a year ago, and there's scenes in that movie where we're like, I don't have any idea how they did this in 1957, whatever that movie came out. Right. You know what I mean? Like it baffles me. Like today it'd be so easy because just everybody's CGI. You make like, here's 3 people and we're just going to copy and paste them 10,000 times like they did in
set them on a treadmill in front of a giant green screen, and here they go running into battle.
Absolutely. So I really do appreciate things like that in it. I would agree that not all of the acting is exactly 100% where it should be. I was going to ask you, and Mexi in the chat had as well, like, what would you put at number 1? You answered Godfather. Now, out of curiosity, would you have it drop significantly, or just like not number 1?
I don't know if it'd make the top 5. Okay. I don't know if it'd make the top 5. I appreciate what they accomplished for the time, but I think that there have been some amazing things that have happened in cinema since then that deserve just as much recognition and have a better overall film. Some of the jumping around in time frames, I had a hard time grasping, where is this movie going? Like, what are they getting to? Right? They want to find out what Rosebud meant. And they keep following this trail of different people who were around Orson Welles at the time, his character, Charlie or whatever his name was. And so they're following these stories that everybody else is telling about and around him. And in the end, I still didn't quite get it. I guess, I mean, I don't know. If you don't want to be spoiled about Rosebud really is, then you need to like pause
No
this.
Spoilers on this 92-year-old movie.
Sorry, yeah, but in the end, they find out that Rosebud is this sleigh, the sled from his childhood. And so what is he searching for? His missing childhood, I guess. That's my best understanding. Like, he's always trying to find his happiness, and he never gets it through wealth. He never really appreciates his wealth since he just kind of inherited it. And so he's always using his wealth like a hammer to try and beat everyone around him into submission. And I think we've had other movies where people have misused their wealth, and they've been really entertaining, crazy films of people who just didn't understand that happiness doesn't come from your wallet. I mean, like The Wolf of Wall Street, which doesn't compare to this movie, but it's a good example. It doesn't compare to this movie. It's a totally different thing, but it's a good example of somebody who's just misusing their wealth and not understanding where their happiness is really coming from, and they're actually destroying the things around them as they go. So I don't get the whole Rosebud thing, why he said Rosebud on his dying bed. Did he figure it out on his dying, his last breath? Did he go, oh, I just missed my childhood and I didn't ever really get it? Like, is that it? Like, I don't get it.
Okay, so my take on the movie, and it's been a minute since I've seen it, but my understanding is it's kind of a commentary on there's a real person, but I'm going to get that wrong. And I know Jason Alexander in the chat is going to light me up on fire on this one because he's a much bigger movie fan than I am. It's kind of a take on I think of it as a take on the American dream, right? Like he starts off dirt poor. He's got absolutely nothing. He's living in this cabin with his parents. We allude to the fact that his father probably abuses him in some way or beats him in some way, is a drunk for sure. He's got this tiny little sled and he's happy. After that, he moves to the big city with the oil tycoon, whatever his name is, the newspaper tycoon. I'm not going to get his name right. And he is given wealth and he's given education and he's given everything that he needs to succeed. And he does succeed. He starts growing from there. He builds his own paper. He doesn't want to just take the paper that was given to him. He wants to start his own thing, starts his own media conglomerate. But the problem is, you're right. Like he never is able to find happiness in success because that's not where some people find or derive their happiness. So what they're doing is throughout the movie, you can see that he has friendships, he has relationships, but every single one of them is kind of based off of this persona of who he is, not actually who he is, right? And he collects things over time. He collects people, he collects wives, he collects statues, he collects animals. He has that gigantic palatial thing, but you're right, it's empty. It's devoid of love, emotion, people, because all he has is wealth. He's growing so much money that it's created gates all around him. So he's collected all these things, and he had the sled the whole time. It was part of his collection. So it's not so much that finding the sled would bring happiness, it's finding that joy that comes from being a child and just having peace. I feel like I'm failing horrendously, but
I think he kept forcing things, right? He forced his second wife to be an opera singer, built an opera house for her to sing in, and then wrote all the reviews about her and made sure that everyone was applauding when they needed to applaud, but it wasn't genuine.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Nothing was genuine in his life. It was all, he made it. And he never could just accept things for being the way that they were. And I mean, it's a powerful message, but I think we've seen other movies that have done that same kind of messaging and done it really well. And I think this is a great movie for its time. It accomplished a lot. I felt that there were a lot of people who were not good actors in it. Most of the leads were great. Like I said, his second wife was terrible. I thought she was a horrible actress in it, and just she took me out of the film all the time. Whenever she talked, I was like, it felt like when an actor is saying their lines, but they're not listening to what their co-star is saying. And they're just like, oh, it's my turn to say my line now. But they're not actually in the conversation. It felt like that every time she talked. I was like, you are just saying your line. You're not in the conversation with Orson Welles right now.
Yeah.
And so she really took me out of the film. That was my biggest thing, was his second wife was just terrible.
That's fair. There's a certain amount of, man, I cannot quite get to where I wanted to be. I had it, and then you kept talking.
Sorry.
You're used to streaming by yourself. When you're talking about the opera singer, like, he can't accept people for who they are either. Like, he wants her to be who he wants her to be, and he wants her to be successful. She doesn't even want to be an opera singer. It was something that she like threw at him one time. It was like, oh, I'd kind of like to be a singer. And he's like, then that's what you'll be. And then he just pigeonholed this person and is like, now we have to chase this dream of yours. And she's like, this isn't my dream anymore. It stopped being my dream forever ago.
To the point where she wants to try and kill herself to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't disagree that it's probably a little too antiquated to be in the top one spot forever and ever. But at the same time, I didn't dislike it as much as you did. I don't have a problem watching it. I enjoyed it. I could definitely watch it again. I almost watched it again before this episode, and I just did not have the time for it.
You know what dawns on me? Last time we got together, we talked about Spotless Mind, and I didn't like that because that was such a hard film to watching these people kind of ruin themselves, literally deleting parts of who they are because they didn't want to be that person anymore. And Orson Welles rejecting the honesty, the genuineness of his life and trying to force everything is such an uncomfortable thing for me to watch. I think it falls under the same lines. I think that's why I did not enjoy seeing this movie, because it was a really bad ending, and not in the kind of way that I do enjoy bad endings. I like bad endings when the good guy loses, you know? But this was watching somebody kind of just ruin their life when they had every opportunity to just enjoy it, you know?
No worries.
So I think that's it. for me.
We're talking about Citizen Kane. He says he just missed it. I can understand what you're saying with that one, not necessarily with this movie or with Spotless Mind, but there are some movies that have been recommended to me where they're like, oh, this is such a good movie. And if there's no character in the movie that I can connect to or that I care about, I will have no interest in the movie. It doesn't matter how good the writing is. If I don't like the characters and if I don't care what happens to them, I'll check out very, very quickly.
And I think that kind of happens with me. I couldn't relate to any of those characters. That's why I enjoyed so much of the cinematography. I was taken out of the story, but I was enjoying the making of the film. So I can appreciate all the mechanics of it, but the acting, the characters, the script just wasn't for me.
Nice. Now, at some point, I do want to talk to you about X-Men 97, but it is already 10:15, and you've still got 20 movies to go over. So,
okay,
yes, we're at a different time zone. That's how you look at the clock. Is it? Oh, wait. Do you want to get into your list, sir? Do you want to start with your honorable mentions? Where do you want to? The floor is yours.
Let's start with the honorable mentions. There's a lot of Westerns in the honorable mentions, and I was kind of sad that more of them didn't make it into the top 20. But a lot of the times when I came down to it, I kind of asked myself, which movie would I rather watch right now?
Okay.
You know, like a lot of people are like, oh, I just can't decide. And my thinking, well, yeah, it's which movie would you rather watch right now kind of helped me to figure some of these out. So starting at number 30 of my list was The Prestige. I found this a very enjoyable film to watch. I thought it had some twists that I didn't see coming. It was one of those movies where I didn't really know what I was going into, and I ended up really enjoying it. So I thought that was really good. Then Silence of the Lambs was a winner for me. I thought this had some stellar acting. It was gritty. It was rough. It was kind of a shocking film for its time. It really kind of pushed some boundaries. I love it when movies do that. Number 28 is Goodfellas. For all the reasons that people like mobster films, I think Goodfellas encompasses much, if not all of that. It's just a fantastic film to watch. Joe Pesci, phenomenal job in there. Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, those guys just knock it out of the park. It was just tons of entertainment. I'm trying to burn through some of these pretty fast.
Yeah,
so we can
I figure we'll go faster through the honorable mentions than the actual.
Right. Number 27 was True Grit. I actually like the remake better.
Okay.
What's his name that plays Rooster Cogburn was incredible. I was astounded at his job, and his co-star, the girl, was amazing too. I'm not usually a big fan of like child actors, but she did a phenomenal job. I think the original one is a lot of fun, but the new one impacted me as I watched it. I really thought it was cool. Okay, nice. Interstellar is one that has to be on my list. This is a hard sci-fi movie where they broke boundaries. They brought in Kip Thorne to help write this movie and make it as accurate as they possibly could. We talked about this last time, that scene where he's watching so many years of his life unfold on that video, and he's breaking down, Matthew McConaughey, and he's breaking down, just slobbering over himself. It had me in tears watching that. So combine great acting with great, accurate, hard science fiction, or about as accurate as they can get, with a really cool ending, I thought. And then they did amazing things by skipping the stuff that you didn't need to save on the budget. Like, you didn't need to see the space shuttles take off. You didn't need to see much of that stuff from the outside. You just need to know it was happening. So I thought that was really cool. Let's go. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is, in my opinion, the better version of Fistful of Dollars. Fistful of Dollars came out first, and I thought it was a fantastic Western, right? Had all the stuff that you wanted, those great lines in it, super cool gunfights and everything, but then they just take it to the next level with the good, the bad, and the ugly. They just went to 11 on that one. More of everything you want. You know, they got the hidden gun under the table to shoot the guy who doesn't realize he's actually losing the fight before it even started. You get the hidden gun in the bubble bath, same premise, right? Amazing fight scenes. He's shooting people's hats off. The scoring on both of those films was amazing. Super fun Westerns. Really enjoyed those. It. Now, I did like the 2-part remake of It. I thought that Pennywise the Clown was really scary. I thought he was really scary.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, Tim Curry is a god in the first It. He is amazing. That man made clowns scary for the world for the rest of time, okay? Clowns are now creepy. It's Tim Curry's fault. It, the original, was the best version of it, and it's an amazing film. Moving on, I've got Dazed and Confused, the poster right behind my head here. Just a fun coming-of-age movie. It was really impactful for me. You remember when they're driving around and they like throw a bowling ball through a car window?
Yep.
I did something like that. I'm really ashamed of it. But I did those same kind of things
Last
that
week.
they did. No, I didn't when I was a kid. Not last week. No. Just a fantastic movie. Matthew McConaughey in there again. I guess Matthew McConaughey is one of those actors I really enjoy. All right, moving up to something way more serious, American History X. This film rocked me. When he curb stomps the guy in the beginning, I was just blown out of my seat. And I'm like, holy cow, this movie's just not pulling any punches. It was gritty, it was raw. They talked about things that were really challenging to talk about. This was a very impactful movie at the time. I felt that, what's his name that plays the lead? He's also the Hulk. I can't remember his name right now. He was amazing in that film, putting on all that muscle for Edward Norton. Thank you. He's a method actor. If I'm not, I might be incorrect about that. I think he's a method actor.
Not to
and
the
he
level
gets a
Daniel
little bit-
Day-Lewis is, but he definitely gets very into his roles.
Very into his roles, right? And I can appreciate that. And I thought he did a stellar job in American History X for all the right reasons. Next up is $1 Million Baby. This one hit me hard. Hilary Swank and Clint Eastwood.
Lots of Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not actually that huge of a Clint Eastwood fan. I just really like some of his movies that he's been in. I think Clint Eastwood tends to play the same character a lot, and it's not that amazing. But you know, he was the right one for this role. I thought this was stellar. This movie was carried by Hilary Swank.
Oh, yeah.
Her drive to become the best and then her drive to finish the way that she wants to finish was absolutely heart-wrenching. This is one that was so emotional, such a roller coaster ride. Her mother in that movie, oh my God, I wanted to write her an evil letter when she did such an amazing job of making you hate her mother. What a stellar performance her mother had. It's such a small role, but oh my gosh, the script and the way that played it, them coming in with the Disneyland shirts and everything, oh my God, just rocked me emotionally. I thought that was something that everybody just needs to witness. All right, and now we make it to my actual, okay.
Sorry, before you, I'm not going to touch on all those super quickly because I don't want to go super in depth.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've seen $1 Million Baby once, and it still sticks with me. Like I don't want to say the twist, but like what happens to her is one of those things that I still think about way too often for how long ago I've seen that movie. I've never seen Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I've seen True Grit once. And other than that, I love your list so much. Like everyone on there is just like, that's a great movie. That's a great movie. That's a great choice. It's like, I have no notes.
Have you seen the remake of True Grit or the original True Grit?
The remake.
Because they're like the remake. Okay.
And I remember it was like, oh, it's fine. But like Westerns are not high on my list. So I know Good, Bad, and the Ugly is one I have to watch at some point. But
I think what did it for me is they reference it in Back to the Future 3, right?
Okay.
He wears the steel plate under his vest in Back to the Future 3. That's from The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and Fistful of Dollars. And so when I saw that, I was like, that looks funny, and I had to go watch those movies, and I thought it was amazing. So
nice.
That was good. All right, so now we're to the actual top 20 list, and here's one. I mentioned this last time, and I think this is an amazing piece of art This is a Tom Hardy movie that not many people know about. I think it is one of his best performances. It's called Bronson, and it is a it's based on real life. There was a guy who was arrested for like robbing a post office or something. And what was supposed to be a 6-month sentence ends up landing him in jail for 3 decades. Ooh. He has this compulsion to fight everyone and everything. And he is very, very much insane. And I think Tom Hardy was such a stellar performance. It's a one-man show. I couldn't tell you who else was in it, and it doesn't matter. It's Tom Hardy at his best. He puts on a lot of muscle. There's some crazy little sequences and interesting scenes where you get into his head, and they use some different cinematics to showcase what's going on in his head. Just screaming madness through the whole thing as he is in prison dealing with his life story. A fantastic watch. I can't recommend this enough to anybody who is interested in seeing some phenomenal acting from Tom Hardy. It's got to be Bronson.
Nice. I feel like I can picture the trailer for this one, but I've never actually seen it. So
yeah, it's just a picture of him standing with all his muscles and everything's kind of blacked out, and the words are written in gold. Another Tom Hardy movie coming in at number 19 is Inception. Strong science fiction movie. It had a new idea, this dream inside a dream stuff, where your time is moving differently. So it's kind of a time travel movie, right? Not time travel, but it's got time alteration in it. These dream sequences, kind of like The Matrix, how it allows you to do the unbelievable. Yeah. I love when they can make the unbelievable believable through storytelling, and Inception does that. What's his face? The lead in that,
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to do that a lot. I'm terrible with names. Leonardo DiCaprio, excellent job in this movie. And the ending will have you talking by the water cooler at work forever. Like, everybody has a different take on what the ending really means, okay? This is Rosebud all over again, but way more fun to watch for me. He's got the spinning top, and you wonder, was his wife right? Was he right? Is he in somebody's mind? Is this really the end? Are we waiting for a sequel where somebody's going to go 5 layers deep and rescue him? What's really going on here? Is it a happy ending? Is it a tragedy? There's just so much to this. And the gunplay, the choreography, the amazing rotating scenes, it's just got it all. It's a fantastic science fiction film. What do you think about Inception?
This is one of those movies where every time if I don't watch it for a while, I start talking myself out of how much I enjoy it. And I'll be like, it's really long, and I don't know, it's okay. It's really overhyped. And then I'll watch it and I'll be so incredibly into it the entire time. And then it'll end, but that's one of my favorite movies. I absolutely love it. And then 3 months go by and I'm like, it's long. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I keep talking myself out of how much I love it. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are really good. It's interesting that you mentioned Bane first.
Tom Hardy,
thank you. Because he's not one of the ones that I would actually think of.
Bronson in it. He has a small part in it. He was really cheeky and cute in the movie, and I like that. It's not a Tom Hardy movie. You're right. No. This is Levitt Gordon and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's their movie for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoy this one, and we talked about this before, I believe. My biggest pet peeve in movies, especially in sci-fi movies, is when the movie makes up its own rules and then changes them halfway through or doesn't follow them. It drives me absolutely insane. And this movie does a phenomenal job of setting up exactly what the rules are. And they do a couple of information dumps, but they never feel super heavy or long. They just get the point across and sticking with it the entire time. I can't think of anything in this movie. There might be a plot hole or something like that, but I can't think of one. And everything about it works the way they describe it working. It never takes you out and oh no, okay, that's not how that's supposed to work. So I really, really like this one. And I mean, I tried to keep my list to just one from each director kind of a thing. I didn't want to go super deep, but you're naming a couple of Christopher Nolans, and I love every one of them. They're so good.
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure who directs any of these. I was thinking more about the actors in them rather than the directors. But if it works, it works. And honestly, this came down to me talking about this with a variety of my friends and coworkers over the 2-week period. I had a list of like 70 movies at one point, and we just talked about them. And I started to get a feel for what I really, really enjoyed. And so this is just the stuff that I just enjoy watching and would highly recommend to other people.
Nice.
So moving on from Inception, here's one that a lot of people may not enjoy as much. It's an older film, but I think this was kind of groundbreaking and revolutionary, and I think it set the floor for so much science fiction today. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Ooh.
I think this is a phenomenal film. I think it has also it has an ending that you can take whatever way you want to. And I think that there are like 2 or 3 stories being told within this. There's the surface level science fiction. You got a crazy AI that you're trying to deal with. Then you have the encountering another alien race and the impact that has on you mentally, your society, all those different things. And then you have this voyage through deep metaphorical, metaphysical, mental kind of space where he's traveling through the beyond and figuring himself out, ends up in a white room as an old guy and all this weird stuff, right? So there's a lot going on in this film, but I just think that it had some groundbreaking stuff for its day, and I think it definitely deserves a spot on my top 20 list.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can't take that away from you. I've seen it. I know for a fact I've seen it. I couldn't tell you much of anything about it. This might almost be like the Citizen Kane for me, where it's like I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it for its time.
Yeah.
It does nothing for me. And if I watch it again, which I have to, it's on my movie poster, it's probably going to be one of those ones where I have to watch in like 3 different parts or something. So I'm just like, oh, okay, I've got something else I need to be doing right now.
Certainly don't watch the sequel. The sequel was a travesty. It was
Didn't know there was a
bad.
sequel.
Completely missed the point. Yeah.
2002?
I think it is something like that. I
Really?
think it's something lame like that. Yeah, it was really horrible. Had the captain from Sequest, if you know that reference. Yeah, so it was really bad. But so 2001: A Space Odyssey for me was one of those movies that it kind of like set the bar for science fiction to follow. Really raised the level, and I think it just for all those reasons that an old movie stays on a list like this, I think it needs a little bit of recognition for me. Is it the most entertaining? Certainly no. It's a very slow movie, but I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. Is a line that a lot of people still to this day know and reference. They might not know where it's from, but now you do. It's from 2001: A Space Odyssey. All right, number 17. I think you're gonna like this one. The Usual Suspects.
Ooh, okay.
I just think this movie is so much fun. It is storytelling at its best. It's different perspectives. It's got great dialogue in it. Kaiser Soze, man, what a pimp. This movie was just so much fun for me to watch. I think I watched it one time and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I rewatched it again and I was like, this story's amazing. There's so much happening here.
Nice.
Kevin Spacey's does a fantastic job selling everything in that movie. All those actors. There's some behind the scenes stuff about like these guys farting and breaking character on set and all sorts of funniness that happens going behind this. They all had such an amazing time making this movie, and those stories really make it really come to life for me too.
Yeah, the scene where they're actually in front of the police wall, whatever that is, where it gives you your height, and you have to like number 2 step forward. Apparently, they broke character and like they just got the giggles and couldn't deal with it. And Bryan Singer, the director, was so mad at them. He's like, "No, play it right," and they're just like, "Give me all your guns," like just being like so stupid with it. Because they're just having a fun time making each other laugh, and he was just like, "F it, I'll go home." And they ended up keeping parts of that in the actual movie, which I think is fantastic. But
and
like,
I felt like that sequence there that you're describing actually helped to build a relationship with these characters. It made them even more relatable for me as a person. It made it feel real. Scenes like that, and so I think, and then when bad things happen to characters, you're that much more invested in them.
Yeah. I watched it. So this is one of the ones I would have watched a lot back in high school. The first time you see it, it's incredible, but it does hold up after the first time. I tried watching it maybe like a year ago, and my wife and I got like halfway through it, and it was just like we were just tired and just kind of okay to turn it off, and never went back. Obviously, with twist endings being the next top 5 that my brother and I are going to do next week, it's one that I'm like, I kind of have to see this one again just to see if it does make that list or not. So tune in next week to see if it does.
Right.
So it's definitely one I'm going to be watching in the near future. I think you're absolutely dead on. Like, as much as some of this cast is problematic to talk about nowadays, you still have to give it up that they did phenomenal jobs. Like, Bryan Singer did a great job as I want to say a first-time director. Kevin Spacey is amazing as Kaiser Sose slash.
What's his name?
I was hoping I was going to pull it, but it's not quite there.
I couldn't remember his name. I think they kind of make fun of him because he walks with a limp and everything.
I was
and
going to say
he's
it's like Stumbles or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I forget. Somebody in chat will probably tell us here. So I want to try and move on, try and save some time here. Number 16, somebody mentioned this in chat. I think it was Annie Valor, Jurassic Park. For me, this was a childhood beloved film. It was one of the first times I got to go to the movies and see a movie that was like, it was like PG-13 or something. And I was so young, and my dad took me to see it. And it was the big opening of the new movie theater in our town. And I got to go see it. It was a high rating and everything. It was super. We stood in line, like the line went like around the door, and we'd never waited in line for a movie before. So I knew this was going to be a good one. And so we went and saw this, and it did everything I wanted it to do for me. I loved that they used a combination of practical effects and special effects. Some of the stories behind, like that cup of water on the dashboard that has the ripples, they could not get the ripples to happen with the dinosaur stomping. And they ended up putting like a guitar string on the bottom of it underneath and plucking it to make that vibration in the water. All these neat little things that they did to make it happen. The objects in rearview mirror are closer than they appear as the dinosaur is chasing them. What an adrenaline rush. Sam Jackson in there playing that weird scientist guy who's kind of like a little bit cranky and everything. You got what's his name from Seinfeld in there. All this stuff coming together. Jeff Goldblum doing a good performance in that as well. I really love it. And they had kid actors that didn't make me want to like shoot myself in the face. So this was just a great movie. It set the tone. I've watched all of the Jurassic Park movies since. They kind of just go downhill after that one, in my opinion. But Jurassic Park was great. I loved the books. I'm just a big fan of that. Dinosaurs are amazing, and this one was just such a fun watch. I can't wait to watch this with my kids when they get a little bit older.
I'm going to try and keep this brief because I could talk a long time about this movie. I also thoroughly love this movie. I think we're the same age or very, very close to it. So I also was very young when I saw this. I remember watching this in the States. We went down to Michigan and we saw it there. And there was a giant, like they actually had maybe it's not, but in my memory, a large dinosaur exhibit in the theater. Like they'd actually went all out and like added a statue in this theater that was never there before for this movie. And I remember lining up around the statue to get into the movie. I remember absolutely loving this. And this was the first movie where my local library actually had a making of book of Jurassic Park. And I got that book out so many times going over things and like reading how they did the different animatronics, how they did the different practical effects, how they did like how they made the movie. And it didn't take away from it at all. It made it so much better. Like knowing the stuff behind the scenes didn't like, oh, that kind of ruins it a little bit. No, it just made it so much cooler. I watched this with my dad and my brother, loved it. No issues whatsoever. I watched it with my mom after that in the theater. And she's easy to freak out. Let's just say that. So she kept grabbing my leg. And I thought about it after the fact, but somehow mentally that pain associated with the terror on screen really fricked me up. So like I watched it the first time, no nightmares, no nothing, anything. Watched it the second time with my mom. I had nightmares for weeks.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting for my kids to get a little bit older because like they eat the guy off the toilet, you know, when he's sitting in the cabana hut or whatever. And there's some gruesome stuff in that first one. I think they kind of like shy away from it a little bit more in the others, but I mean that scene where the goat's tied to the post and it's storming outside and the T-Rex is lurking out there in the bushes. Yeah. Man, that's just amazing. All right, moving on to number 15 is Apollo 13. Strong science fiction in my list. I just thought Apollo 13 was an amazing film because it showcases a fantastic triumph for American astronauts. It was stellar acting. The lengths that they went through to make that movie happen are astounding. They rode the Vomit Comet so many times to be able to look like they're floating in space and make all that weightlessness stuff happen. It was It was a powerful watch, and I'm a big fan of the Apollo 13 mission, and I'm a big fan of NASA, and I'm a big fan of astronauts in general, and any kind of space travel. I thought that movie helped to progress science in our culture just by people seeing what we accomplished to get there. And there's going to be more on my list like this, but I just thought Apollo 13 was a really good one. And Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors. Houston, we have a problem. He delivered that line so well, it gives me chills just thinking about it.
I don't have a whole lot to add to this one. I burnt up a bit of time in Jurassic Park. I love this movie. This is a great choice.
Okay.
You called it science fiction though, and that kind of irked me. But other than that, this is a great movie.
Science history. Sorry, yeah. All right, and going from Tom Hanks to Tom Hanks, Saving Private Ryan. I thought the opening 30 minutes of this movie was just it just blew me away. It was phenomenal. I'd never seen a military sequence like that in a movie. I mean, I was almost traumatized from the 30. Like, I needed to pause the movie and catch my breath after that. It was so astounding. You know, you see the guy, his arm's blown off, and he walks around. He picks up an arm, and it's not his. And he goes and he picks up the other one, and it's his. And he starts walking up the beach. You know, Tom Hanks is in shock from all this happening. People just, that door on the boat drops, and bullets just going everywhere, and chaos ensues nonstop for 30 minutes, and your heart's just pounding at the end of it. And then you see these guys who survive that beach climb, and they start breaking down, and the adrenaline's wearing off of them, and they're just crying, and you want to cry too, because the way that they did that sequence was so well. It was absolutely perfect in my opinion. And then the movie continues to go on, and it brings you heart-wrenching comparisons of whose life is more important and why. And then you've got Matt Damon at the very end, and he's in the fetal position crying like a baby, and guns and explosions going off again, and Tom Hanks whispers in his ear, make this worth it, And I mean, and then it goes back to the old guy at the end of the movie, and you realize why he's crying in the cemetery and asking his family, have I lived a good enough life? Because he wants to know, was I worth their sacrifice to save me? What an impactful story. Just amazing. Great storytelling, great acting, great cinematography. Just a world-class military movie. I think is fantastic.
I completely agree. I don't generally go back to war movies all that often. I do enjoy them, but it's kind of a once or twice and I'm good kind of a thing. I've seen this movie multiple times. I absolutely love it. It does start the trope of let's go save Matt Damon, which is a little bit weird that that's become a thing in Hollywood, but it shows up a lot. And Mexi brought up a great point. Today is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So it's interesting that you bring that movie up today of all days. I'm sure. But that's just I had to look it up. I was like, oh, I think he's right. Like, that's crazy. My grandfather was on the beach at Normandy. And so knowing that he lived through that is kind of insane when you rewatch it. Because I watched that movie when I was a kid. Like, it was like 96 or something, 97 maybe. So I was probably like 14. And it just doesn't really hit that much. But like, I watched like 2 years ago, and like having heard the stories nowadays, my grandfather has since passed, obviously, but it's like, I can't believe anybody did this, let alone you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're the person I remember like getting ice cream with and stuff like that. Like, how did you do this? I don't understand.
How do you come back from that?
Yeah.
I was traumatized from watching the freaking movie, man. Like, yeah, that blows me away. Another one, and it's not a movie, so I didn't include it, was Band of Brothers, the original Band of Brothers.
That's a hard watch.
Yeah. I've seen Band of Brothers probably 20 times. Jeez. I just absolutely love watching that. It's one of those movies series that I can watch over and over. Now, The Pacific was good, and I enjoyed it once. I tried watching it a second time. It's a little too depressing for me. But yeah, I'll just mention that. Okay, moving on. Here's something I'm curious if you've seen this one. I threw this in here not because it is a cartoon, but because it is an amazing cartoon. It's Heavy Metal.
Oh.
Have you ever seen Heavy Metal?
I don't think so.
Mexi Mike, I agree. Full Metal Jacket is astounding as well. I want to put that on the list too, but it's I'm getting too many war movies in here. Okay, Full Metal or Heavy Metal.
Is Heavy Metal was there a TV show as well as a movie? Or was it
there's
just
a comic book? There's a
Okay.
comic book, and then there was a sequel called Heavy Metal 2000.
So I
And,
might have seen a
um,
bit of heavy metal on TV one time, and I just thought it was a TV show or something. And it was like, this is weird.
It's an anthology of shorts,
Yeah.
and they they have a connective story with this ball of energy that goes around, and whenever people encounter it, weird things happen to them. And of course, there's lots of heavy metal in the soundtrack. It has lots of busty women and gunfights and all kinds of crazy stuff. There's a story about this little nerdy kid who's like always picked on, and he encounters this orb, and he wakes up on a planet, and he's got huge muscles, and he's voiced by John Candy. And he goes and rescues this girl who's going to be cast into this pit by these Aztecan dudes. And then there's another one where there's like zombies. And there's another one where these aliens who really enjoy their cocaine, like all kinds of stuff that is heavy metal. And the movie is just so much fun to watch. There's something in it for everybody, not children. It's definitely not for children. It is definitely adult themed. Absolutely fantastic. And ultimately it is a good versus evil kind of story, but you see this orb, how it affects people and whether they use it for good or whether they use it for evil. And then ultimately there is this Zion of people who does battle to finally, anyway, just go check it. This is your homework assignment. For sure, you're going to love this. It's an amazing older movie. And I really enjoyed Heavy Metal 2000 also. It's nowhere near the original, but Heavy Metal 2000 was a good watch as well. So if you do end up liking heavy metal, then check out the sequel.
I was going to say I can picture the poster for this one, but as soon as you said Heavy Metal 2000, I'm like, no, I think that's the poster I can picture. So,
well, the first one has the blonde chick riding the pterodactyl, and she's
with, like,
holding
the
the sword
in the
straight
air.
up in
Okay,
the air.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
picturing. Okay,
That's Heavy Metal, the first one. Okay. Okay. Moving on to number 12 is Army of Darkness, my favorite in the Evil Dead series. I think that Gimme Some Sugar Baby and Hail to the King are some lines that should have worked when I was in high school, but they never did. But it wasn't for lack of trying. I think this movie was so much fun and entertaining to watch. Evil Dead deserves its own recognition. Those were some fantastic movies. I think that one of them might still hold the record for use of blood in a film. Just really good. But he gets his hand cut off. He fixes it with a chainsaw. He does battle. He rides his car into battle and chops people up, and he tries to get the Necronomicon and can't remember Klaatu Baratu Nictus, and just the shenanigans that Bruce Campbell goes through in this film was so entertaining. Just a pure fun watch. Not doing anything that's gonna break any boundaries in cinema, but man, I just enjoyed the film from start to finish.
my friend in high school was obsessed with the Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and Evil Dead 2, I think it is. It's just simply
Evil
called
Dead,
that.
Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then it went on to all the others, which are
Yeah.
The newest Evil Dead isn't so bad. It's a mom and her kids in a.
That one
in
looks
a-
terrifying.
It is really hard to watch, especially as a parent. They don't pull any punches. They are true to the source material, but it is really violent and evil. And that one's definitely not for the faint of heart. It was good, but
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it the way I would recommend Army of Darkness to anybody who wants to just have a really good time.
That's fair. I know for a fact I've seen this. I know that I could tell you basically nothing about it. I'm terrified to say this out loud on a movie podcast. Sam Raimi does nothing for me in
really?
almost any of his movies. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't
that's
speak
too
to
bad.
me. This might be the first
Yeah.
real pass on your list.
Oh, okay. I just think you're the good Ash. I'm the bad Ash. And he says, good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun. It's just fun to watch. Okay. Moving on to a more serious and scary movie. At number 11, I have A Quiet Place. I very much enjoyed the sequel as well. It's one of those movies where the sequel was almost, if not as good as the original, but A Quiet Place absolutely pushed all the right buttons for me. Again, this is one, and I don't like child actors. So when they do a good job, it usually has to be an amazing movie, and this one was great. The film starts off not pulling any punches. A kid is killed, right?
Yep.
Right off the bat, nothing's being taken for granted. Everything is fair game in this movie, and that sets the tone for it. and then having these actors who, what's his name from the Office? I can't remember his name.
Jim Krasinski.
It's not a role I'm used to seeing him in. And what a phenomenal job he did. It was very powerful, his relationship between him and his daughter and what they go through. But his wife playing that scene where she is giving birth in a bathtub and has to be silent. Oh my God, what a thrilling sequence. That was just, had me on the edge of my seat. This movie, for being such a quiet movie, was so thrilling and exciting. It was incredible watch for me. I think this one kind of changed the whole monster genre for me because they were able to do things to me that I haven't felt in a long time watching monster movies. And so this one was definitely just amazing for me.
Yeah, I loved this movie. I really did. You mentioned already, but I'm going to touch on it again for a quick second. The fact that they kill the youngest kid right away just lets you know, like, all bets are off. Everybody's fair game. You don't know what's coming. And that it does it like so masterfully and terrifyingly that you're like, oh, I understand what the threat is. I understand everybody's in danger and nobody is safe. Cool. And that's like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like, it starts off and just you're in it right away. I think he did an amazing job as both an actor and a director for this movie. I think he did phenomenal. My wife doesn't tap out of movies very often. Generally speaking, if we start something, we're with it to the end. She couldn't get through this one, and not in a bad way. Not in a, oh, I hated it. It was too tense. It was too intense, I guess, for her. Where she's just like, I'm exhausted and sore, and like I just need to go like decompress before I go to bed.
I totally understand that.
I want to say we had twins, obviously, and I want to say they were like 6 months old, maybe a year at most when we had this. So that scene with her trying to give birth in the tub underground with the monster, like, I get it. I get why that was too much. I tapped out of Walking Dead for a while there simply because I get into movies. When I get into movies, I start like putting myself in their place. I couldn't figure out a way to keep my kids alive in the zombie apocalypse, and it just depressed the hell out of me. So I had to I have to stop watching this. So I understand her perspective of like, I can't go any further than this, but I love this movie. I strongly disagree with you that the second one is as good as this. I thought the second one was fine, but it takes such a strong left turn into more of an action adventure movie than what this one is, which is just like an absolute creep show.
I can agree with that.
It's kind of Alien to Aliens, but I don't think it was as good as Aliens. I don't think it's bad. I think it's a good movie. I just think this is so far and away above it that I can't put them in the same league.
I agree that you lost that aspect of the family because the family had already been broken up. There was a lot more focus on the son and his ability to overcome his fear in the sequel. And I think that was important. And I think that in the end, they came together as a family, but you didn't have any of that continuity until the final sequence. And so I see what you're saying when you say this was more of an action adventure sequence in the sequel. I can agree with that. I had a good time with it, and I thought Jillian, what's his name that plays in the second one? I thought he did a phenomenal job acting in that. I think that the other's performance prevailed in the first one. And then the second one was kind of like, I'm a super badass mom and I'm going to take care of my kids. And that was kind of cool. But she'd already done the badass thing for me in the first one, which was keep her mouth shut while having a baby and there's a monster lurking mere feet from you. It was, So
I wish this is one of the few movies that I really wish I could have gone back to and seen in like a crowded theater. Because you see like not screenshots, you see like videos of it and whatnot where like the movie is dead silent for like 8, 10, 15 minutes at a time. And the audience, like nobody's chewing popcorn, nobody's eating, nobody's slurping their drink. Like the audience is
into it.
Is so into it.
Cleaning Agent mentioned in chat, utilizing the use of sound or more specifically removing the sound was amazing. And that's why I'm a big fan like you. I love dialogue. I love good dialogue in a film. This movie was able to do so incredibly much with so little dialogue. It was astounding. I mean, the one time you hear the father speak to his daughter, and this is a spoiler, so close your ears or whatever if you don't want me to give anything away, is when he is sacrificing himself for her. It's this monumental, pivotal moment where he gives her the sign language, I love you, and says a few things and sign, and then he opens his mouth and screams to protect his daughter and sacrifice himself. And it was a moving sequence. There's so many of those in that first one that I thought it was really good. All right, moving on to a completely different genre comes at number 10, Reservoir Dogs. This one has the opposite, lots and lots and lots of dialogue, a story that is told from multiple perspectives and is very this one's really gritty. You've got a guy whose guts are bleeding out like the whole movie, and he's constantly getting more and more pale, and he's begging and pleading, and you're not sure if one of them's a cop or one of them's undercover, and you're trying to figure out what's going on with all this chaos. And it's all done in, well, there's the diner scene, there's the slow motion scene where they walk down the alley, and then everything else takes place in that warehouse floor as people come and go through the story, and you hear about what's happening through the dialogue of the individuals involved in this. And I think this was a phenomenal piece. I think this is one of those movies that could easily be a play, and I would enjoy it every bit as much, so long as people could deliver their lines as well as they did in this film.
Yeah, I have no notes. This is probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino. I realized last week I didn't put him on the list, which some people kind of like, why not? And it's like, I forgot, to be perfectly honest, because like this movie might have made the cut. I remember watching this when I was far too young and like not entirely getting it, but enjoying it nonetheless. And like it's one of the ones that I can go back to every couple of years and just get more and more and more out of it. I love how long they sit on certain scenes, just letting the dialogue soak in, whereas some movies are afraid to have like more than maybe like 45 seconds to a minute and a half of like one scene before they're like, okay, no, we need to move on to something else. They're like, no, we're just gonna sit in this diner for like 7 minutes talking about nothing and everything.
That diner
all
sequence
at once.
is amazing. That is a very long single take.
If it didn't come across like that, I was praising it hard. I didn't mean that to come across as negative if it did. I love that diner scene.
Yeah, that was amazing. Long takes that's impressive when you have something that's like a 10-minute one shot.
Yeah.
With multiple people delivering lines and doing such a phenomenal job. That to me is one sign of a really good actor that can do that sort of thing. So I thought that was just phenomenal in every way, shape, and form.
Sorry, talking to chat for one quick second. Commander Faust is talking about the Toby Wong, like my cat's name is Toby. I use that line all the damn time. Anyways, continue on, sir.
Okay, so switching genres again. This one you probably have not seen. A lot of people probably have not seen this, and it's a damn shame. This is an indie film, super duper low budget, and in my opinion, I think this is the #1 best time travel movie that has ever been created. It is incredibly complex, super hard to follow. You will probably have to watch it many times to get it all. I still don't know it all. I still rewatch it because it's so hard for me to follow. It's called Primer. This movie absolutely wrecked anything else that comes into play when it comes to time travel, because these guys build a time machine and they start going back in time one day and they lock themselves away so that they don't accidentally create a continuity problem. And they start looking and placing, not placing bets, but purchasing things on the stock market that's going to rapidly expand so they can make some money. That's how it all starts, right? They literally build their time machine in their garage out of plastic tubing and some magnets and stuff, but they make you believe that they stumble upon the ability to travel through time. These guys figure out, like, they're trying to build something. I don't even remember what it is they're trying to build, but it has to do with magnets. And they end up putting this egg or something inside it. And they start up their little machine and they bring it back and they're like, that's weird. What's all this mold on it and everything? And they go and have it tested and they're like, this mold is from this, it's like a glass egg or something. And this mold has been on there because it's like 20 years old. And they're like, no, it was in the machine for like a few minutes. And they realize they sent this thing forward in time or slowed its time or whatever, sped up its time. I don't know. Anyway, they figure out how to adjust this thing and make it into a box so that they can make a box the size of a human being, and the contents will go backwards or forwards in time a short distance. You have to have the box in place, so you can't go further back than when the box was created, right?
Okay.
So they start renting out this storage facility, and they set up their little boxes. They take some gas to go to sleep inside them, and they set their timers so that it'll put them back the right time. They exit the box, and then they leave. And then to celebrate at like the beginning, like the end of the day, I don't remember how it works. They go and they sit in this field, and they set up with binoculars, and they watch themselves walk out of the building, not knowing that they were going to go do that. And so they could see themselves walk out and go to this site. Anyways, things start going wrong. And it starts exploring all these paradoxes, like the guy forgets to turn off his cell phone. And in the future, he answered his cell phone, and when he goes back in time, his cell phone is ringing, and he's like, wait a minute, is this pinging my cell phone? But it should have pinged my cell phone over there. Which tower is it going off of? If I answer it now, can I answer it over there? And they're like, I don't know what's going on. And then one of their friends gets killed at a party where something goes wrong, and they're like, we can stop this, we can go back and we can fix this. And they're like, no, it's going to get too complicated because we can't be there. Well, they end up doing it, and then that causes problems, and it's a cascade effect, and before you know it, they're having to go back in time to murder themselves. And it's just
throw the ending out there.
crazy. And that's not even the craziest part. But this is a super low budget indie film that makes you understand. It's called Primer. It's a super low budget indie film that makes you really think about time travel and how it actually works, because they use dialogue to explain everything. There's a narration that they're doing for themselves. They start turning on each other and building secret time travel boxes so that they can go back further and different stuff. And now you've got loops of them traveling all over. It's really chaotic. Like I said, it's super cheap. There's no effects to be had here. It's just storytelling, and they tell this amazingly complicated tale, and it's really, really cool to watch. So
I'm not going to lie, you've completely sold me on this one.
Yeah, I really think it's very hard to follow. Don't be surprised if you don't understand what's going on for most of it. Just hang in there, and if you have to rewatch it, you will, and you'll enjoy, and you'll be, oh, I get it now. I get what that was and stuff, because there's just so much going on. Really fantastic. I think everybody should watch this. I just don't understand why it's not. It won a bunch of awards at like Sundance and stuff, like they always do. It was brought to my attention because it's science fiction, it's time travel. I love that stuff. Sure. I think it's great.
Nice.
All right. Number 8. This one, people might laugh at me for it. The reason it's so high on my list is because I was sick when I was in high school for almost a year. Maybe not high school, it might have been grade school, whenever mid-junior high, I think, whenever this came out. I had some bad stomach issues, some ulcers. I was being bullied by kids in high school, and I was pretending to stay at home with sicknesses that became real because I was under so much stress. And the only thing I had to keep me busy while my parents were at work was a single VHS cassette of Forrest Gump. And I watched this movie over and over and over every day, and it really helped me get through a very hard period in my time, because Forrest Gump, as you know, was a person, well, not in the book, but in the movie, he was a person who was, mentally slower than everybody else around him, but he ended up finding joy and happiness everywhere he went because he didn't really expect much from anything, and he just went through life without expectations and did his best to be the nicest guy he could be, and he ended up living one of the most exciting, amazing lives a person could live. And I thought that the storytelling was great. I love Tom Hanks. This was just a real heartfelt, wonderful movie. It was super impactful for me. So I understand if people laugh at me for putting it number 8 on this list, but I do think it was an incredible film and just really loved it.
So far, chat seems to be agreeing with you pretty strongly, so I don't think anybody's going to be laughing at you. This is not one that I have the same kind of emotional connection to that you do. I think the movie is phenomenal. I think Tom Hanks does an incredible job. It's definitely one I need to watch again. I've seen it a couple of times, but not for quite some time. I have no qualms with it being on your list. It doesn't make mine, but this is an incredibly acted movie. It's an incredibly well-written movie. It's very interesting the entire way through. Like, I don't blame you for having watched as much as you did. I just haven't.
Yeah. There's so many good lines in here. People are quoting the movie over and over and over. There's amazing lines. I can almost quote the movie from start to finish. I literally have seen this over 100 times. It's just a movie that makes me feel good. It's my comfort film when I need to watch something or have something playing in the background. I can put on Forrest Gump and I can stop and I can watch a section of it, a sequence in it, and just really enjoy it. I think it was really powerful, and I like the positive nature of the movie, even when there's really bad things happening. When he loses Jenny, and he's crying about that at her gravesite, I still tear up every single time I watch the movie. I still tear up over that performance, the delivery. I'm in it. And I think it's a really solid film.
Nice.
Okay. Now we're going way the other direction with a different genre. This is an older film with Kurt Russell. Awesome science fiction film up in the Arctic. It's The Thing.
Oh, okay. That went a way better direction than I thought it was going to.
Some of the best practical effects you've ever seen. I think it's amazing when the dude's head rips off of his body and spider legs come out of it and it crawls away across the floor, and I just giggle with excitement because that is such an amazing scene. So many good things. They absolutely ruined the sequel by making it special effects instead of practical effects. I hear rumor that they had actually filmed most of that with practical effects. I wish they would have done that. It would have been so much more fun to watch because I did enjoy the sequel, nowhere near the original, not even in the same planet, okay? But The Thing was such a good sci-fi film. Just, I thought it brought in these elements of who do you trust, and it was something that I hadn't really seen before in a science fiction film. Maybe in a horror film, I'd seen something like that. I mean, it is kind of sci-fi horror, I guess, when you get down to it. But this was a movie about who do you trust, and it just, everybody, you never knew who was going to get you or where it was going to come from. Yeah. And like I said, the practical effects were stellar. So I just thought this was a great movie. What did you think I was going to say when I said Kurt Russell?
Oh, I was still laughing because all of chat was like, oh no, not this. I thought you were going to say Big Trouble in Little China, which is another one. Big Trouble in
Little China is amazing. I love that film. That's so much fun.
The same friend who loves Army of Darkness loves Big Trouble in Little China, and it's just one of those like,
absolutely.
Okay, I've seen it once by myself, which is probably the wrong way to watch it. It's probably one of those ones you should watch with a group of friends.
Which one? Big Trouble?
Big Trouble.
Yeah.
So I don't have the appreciation for it that he or apparently you do. But it was like everybody in chat was like, oh, I thought he was going to say Escape from LA. I thought he was going to say Soldier. I thought he was going to say all these bad movies. And you said The Thing, and everybody's just like, that's all right with that.
Yeah. Snake Plissken, baby. He's awesome. Yeah. No, I love Kurt Russell. Death Proof. All kinds of, man, Kurt Russell's great. So,
yeah. No, I think The Thing is incredible.
Thing was amazing.
Yeah. I'm just going to mimic everything you just said for a second, because like the practical effects are amazing. The first scene where all the dogs are dying and merging together is so incredibly grotesque, and it's one of those ones where I was like, okay, I remember watching this, maybe I can watch it with my kids, because it's like, it's from the 80s, it's gonna be like cheesy horror. No, I didn't watch it with my kids, I didn't. But like watching it with my wife again, like 6 months ago or something, and I'm just like, oh, the kids aren't watching this for a very long time. Like the practical effects
my kids love the Santa Chronicles also.
Same. The practical effects are somehow a little bit silly and terrifying at the same time.
Right.
If that makes sense.
They're a little, like when they go to shock him and the second time he goes to shock him and his hands fall into the gaping mouth and he's screaming and stuff. It is so corny and I absolutely love it. Yeah. Oh my God, it was amazing. When they're all tied in the chair and the one guy starts sprouting tentacles and they're like, get me out of here. They're freaking out. Oh, it's just, I mean, it's start to finish. That is just such a fun watch for me.
And I know some of you in chat was talking about how they don't like ambiguous endings, but I love that at the end of this movie, the entire way through, you never really know who the monster is. And you're not really sure if they killed it or not. Like, you know that they're spoilers for a 40-year-old movie. You know that they're sacrificing themselves at the end, but you don't know if they're doing it heroically or if they're doing it for no reason, in vain. Thank you. Like, it's so well done. It's so well crafted. It's not one I go back to often, but whenever I do, I just remind myself, like, oh, I actually really like this one.
Mexi Mike, I actually haven't seen Flatliners. I watched part of it. I know what it's all about, but I never got through that whole movie. That's something I should probably put on my homework list.
Is that the one where they kill themselves,
Kill
and then
themselves
see
for
the
a short
afterlife for a
while.
little bit. Yeah. I saw the
And I guess
remake.
it
I think.
creates some weird stuff or something. I don't remember, but I might have to check it out.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from The Thing comes to every adolescent male's favorite movie, Fight Club. I really enjoyed the book, and this is one of those times when a movie brought everything that the book had, and I felt brought the book to life for me. It added value to it. Chuck Flanagan does an amazing job writing that story, but seeing it on film really colored in the lines for me. And I thought Fight Club, it surprised me. Like, I didn't expect these things. I was still waiting for, and if you haven't seen Fight Club, for crying out loud, I'm sorry. We're gonna spoil movies here, okay? But get off your ass and go see Fight Club. I kept waiting for there to be two actual people. I just had a hard time believing that that he was Tyler Durden. Right? And it was so crazy. And then when you finally grasp that, you're like, oh my gosh. And you can rewatch this movie so many times and find these little hidden gems in there. There's the subliminal 1-second frames inserted throughout the film where you see Tyler Durden with his arm around the doctor for a flash, but you don't catch it until you've seen this movie a dozen times.
I was gonna say, like, I remember watching this with some friends and getting to that end point and not seeing it coming at all, because it's not like a M. Night Shyamalan movie where, like, after you've seen one, you're like, okay, what's the twist going to be? And you're trying to outthink it. You're just watching this movie. You're just going along for the ride. And you get to that end point, you're like, what? I didn't see that coming whatsoever. And then I watched it with some friends, be like, you're never going to believe this twist. And you start seeing those, like, little snippets, and I'm like, how did I miss that? Like, how did I not notice these Brad Pitts like clip-ins like he does with the dick during the family movie?
During the end, yeah.
And you're just like, I don't understand how I completely missed those, because they're so painfully obvious the second, third, fourth time that you watch it. It was weird.
And there's some great messaging in this movie about society and what drives us, what we should really be trying to achieve with our lives, this letting go of the things that really don't matter, like your materialistic stuff in life, and going for things that really make you feel alive. These they call it a near life experience when they get into the car accident. You know, they're always trying to just live life to its fullest and not be pulled in by all this garbage bullshit commercialism and all that stuff. So it's really cool. Some of it's a bit over the top, but when you read the book too, and they talk about what they're doing, trying to reset society by destroying all the records of credit cards and everything, and absolutely collapsing the fiscal world. It's really cool. And then to have the Pixie song play at the end when the buildings are dropping to the ground, that Where Is My Mind song, just such great scoring in the film. I just really enjoyed Fight Club. I watch it again and again and again. Hidden gems in it, great acting, stellar performance. The meat packing sound when they punch each other, that realistic fist fight sound, not that fake crap where they were slapping a 2x4s together and stuff. I think they were like punching like pigs at a butcher shop or something to get that wet slapping sound. I mean, just really well done film for me. Super entertaining. Again, this was coming at a time in my life when I, as a young male, needed some guidance and direction. That was not the movie to be watching, but it definitely fed into what was going on with me in my mental and emotional state at the time. So a solid pick for me at number 6 right there.
I absolutely agree. I was laughing for a second there because you're like, oh, this has shaped me as a person. I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to let it.
Definitely not. Definitely not supposed to let it. Super powerful stuff. Okay, coming in at number 5, and this goes back to NASA here, The Right Stuff. If you haven't seen The Right Stuff, drop what you're doing right now. This is an older film. It's got an all-star cast. It goes over the whole NASA program trying to beat the Russians to the moon. It's a long movie. It's almost 3 hours, I think. That starts with the test pilots out in Nevada and them testing out their super rockets and breaking sounds. When they didn't even know, they were worried if they broke the sound barrier, they might rip the world in half. Every time we try and do something new like that, we're always worried. It was not Space Cowboys, Bubba Hotep. Give me a break. No, the Right Stuff is amazing. There's a lot of truth and actuality based into this movie. They took a lot of the real life stories and they put that into these characters in the movie. And there's even the time when like John Glenn comes in and kind of tells the guys, hey, you know, you guys are all married. You need to keep your dick in your pants and knock this stuff off because we're in the limelight and everything. It was the real story behind that was much more than what they did in the movie, but they pay homage to all of that stuff, even though it didn't really fit. Like that scene doesn't fit in the movie. They wanted to be more accurate, and so they included stuff like that. And I think it's a fun watch. I think there's lots to be learned from the space program and to see what these guys went through to become the best. They were actually just a bunch of adrenaline junkies, space jockey, pilot guys who were just looking for the next thrill. And they went into the space program and all the things that they go through to try and progress America's pursuit of the surface landing on the moon.
I apparently have to drop everything. I've never even heard of this movie.
Oh my God, really?
This is one that
The
I'm
right
definitely going to
stuff?
have to check out. Yeah. No, you said it and I was like, I think I know that one. People watching probably saw me like go Google it. But no, this one doesn't, like the poster doesn't ring a bell. The little trailer that I'm watching right now doesn't ring a bell. It sounds 100% up my alley. Like this is definitely one I'm going to check out.
Wow, yeah, I'm really surprised by this. I thought for sure, I didn't think it was going to be high on your list or anything, but I thought for sure this is a movie you would have seen. So, okay.
Not even on my radar.
That's definitely your homework assignment then. I mean,
I've got a
pretty
couple
sure
of them
you're gonna,
start out right now. I'm writing down your list and like highlighting ones where I'm like definitely going back for that one or watching it for the first time.
Okay, so I think Primer and The Right Stuff are two that I really want to get your opinions on. I'm sure if you haven't seen 1 through 4 on my list, then we're done with this segment. Okay, we're done. All right.
It was a very short show. We got 2 episodes in.
I have a feeling that number 4 may not be your cup of tea.
Okay.
But for me, it absolutely is. I was a huge zombie fan way before The Walking Dead ever made it super popular. I absolutely fell in love with Night of the Living Dead, the 1968 black and white release. I
Nice.
like the 1990s remake. I think that was a cool movie and really well done. But the original back in 68 and the things that happened in that movie for what was going on in the time, right? There's a lead black man. He co-stars with a female white woman, and he's running the show. And there's at another time there's a white male and there's a dominance role, and he puts him in his place, and he's punching out white guys and shooting at people and all kinds of crazy, like all of the zombies are dead white dudes for the most part, and he's shooting them and punching them and hitting them with hammers and stuff. This was some crazy stuff back in 1968 to showcase this kind of thing, right? So I think it said a lot for its time. Nowadays, nobody gives a shit, right? And rightly so. I don't think we should care about race or color. But back then, it was some pretty groundbreaking stuff to have the things that they were doing in there. Really good acting. I think the woman, Brenda, who kind of loses her mind, did a really good job showcasing a woman who is in shock and losing her shit. It was really, really powerful. This is one of those movies where everybody knows the line, but maybe doesn't know where the line is from. They're coming to get you, Brenda, right? Famous movie line. Everybody's heard that one. It's from Night of the Living Dead, the original. There is, like, a lot of people take issue with Night of the Living Dead because the zombies pick up bricks and they smash windows. The zombies turn door handles. Some people don't like that. I say, get the fuck over it, man. It's a great movie. Yeah. I think it was really good. So I'm guessing this one doesn't rate as high up on your list, but I think this is a great movie for me.
This is a phenomenal movie. I've seen it a couple of times. I remember the first time I watched it was with some friends back in high school, where it was like, let's rent some movies for Halloween. And they rented like this and The Shining. And they were pretty bored and checked out instantly. And I'm just like glued to the screen, like, this is so good. It was a little slow for new generations. It held mine. It's definitely potentially a little slower for new generations, but I really enjoyed it for a lot of the reasons you're talking about. I haven't seen it recently enough to have a wonderful to be able to go into it quite as in depth as you have. I know, ironically, I brought this up recently to my brother because we were talking about the difference between twist endings and shocking endings, and I used this as an example of a shocking ending, not a twist ending. I won't say what the
Yes.
ending is,
It
but
is
it's
a
definitely one of
shocking
those
ending.
ones like, oh, I did not see that coming. Doesn't change
Right.
the movie at all. It's just one of those like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
And it's stuck with me.
And again, I think that ending also, in ways, can play into the whole racism themes that were going on back in 1968 and what happened in this movie. I don't want to give it away for anybody because if you haven't seen this movie, you absolutely should. I actually watched this movie 3 days ago and I bumped it up on my list.
Oh wow. Okay.
It is amazing. If you're watching this movie for the first time, I would recommend that you get through the graveyard scene and make it all the way into the house. And once you get into the house, the movie becomes easier to watch and follow. It's way more entertaining and interesting once they get in the house. The graveyard scene is just an iconic scene where she's bumbling around and zombies are chasing after her and she's screaming her head off. And it's a little longer than it needs to be, honestly. But once they get into the house and the drama between the people who are in the house and who show up at the house and what they're trying to do and accomplish really pulls you in, and you can find characters to relate to and you understand their trials that they're going through.
Yeah. Now, I think we mentioned this last week where not only I really like dialogue, but I also like really contained movies. And again, it's been a minute since I've seen this one, but it takes place at least like 90% just inside that one cabin, right?
Yep.
Like
it's
just
the graveyard and in the house. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some newsreels that they're watching
Sure.
on the TV that's happening outside, which, in fact, there's a lot of newsreels that they watch. There are
Okay.
some very lengthy dialogue that is progressed by them watching the TV, and you just are hearing what's happening. But the newscasters are describing what's happening around the area, and it adds to the terror as they describe this stuff. Now, in our day and age, you know, if you've seen Saw movies or something, what they describe isn't really going to shake your tree or anything.
Sure.
But back then, he's describing how these people are eating the flesh of their victims, and that's crazy stuff, man. So
Now, do you have any
solid.
idea, was this one of the very first zombie movies?
No, this wasn't the first zombie movie. I forget what is. I literally had, I had 3 binders of DVDs that held 120 DVDs each, and I had 3 binders filled with everything zombie. And then The Walking Dead came out, and I loved The Walking Dead for all the right reasons. But everybody else did too. And then they started a cascade of zombie stuff, World War Z, all the different Z stuff. There were a lot of good ones. There were some ones that were not so great, but it was just, they were kind of vomiting it out real cheap like. And I kind of lost my love for zombies at that point because I didn't feel like the people who really cared about zombies were no longer making the zombie movies, and everybody else was like, oh, zombies are popular right now. Let's make another zombie show. I think one of the best zombie shows that has ever come out, and if you want to watch a great zombie film or show, check out Black Summer, both season 1 and season 2. Super powerful acting, very long, slow sequences. This is not an edge of your seat TV show. This is let's scare the bejesus out of you with really long takes where you're just waiting for something to happen. However, the season finale episode of season 1, Black Summer, that one's intense from start to finish. It is non-stop adrenaline screaming at the top of your lungs, guns blazing, everybody running, pure chaos, bombs blowing up. It's crazy, and it contrasts the rest of the season where it's these dialogues between people who are trying to take advantage of you. Because in that show, it's not about the zombies. It's about surviving everyone else, and everyone in that show is out to survive. And if you don't add value to their progression of life, they kill you and take your stuff. And it doesn't matter who in the show it is. They're all bad people in the show. And so that's a really cool watch for me is Black Summer. The rest of it, like I said, like the World War Z and stuff, they're fun, but nothing really to get carried away with.
Fair enough. I have
All right.
never been nearly as big of a zombie fan as you apparently are. I think they're fine. I enjoy certain movies here and there, but 3 binders worth, nope.
Yeah, that had everything, including zombie strippers. Moving on to number 3, Shawshank, right? Shawshank Redemption. This is a movie I had no idea what it was. I just heard people say it was amazing and I should check it out. I literally did not know it was a prison film, or I would have jumped on it sooner because I'm a big fan of prison films and prison shows and stuff, right? Cool Hand Luke, everything. But I walked into this completely blind, right? I didn't even know, what's his face, the lead actor, Andy Dufresne. I did not even know who that actor was. I don't think I'd ever seen anything of his before or remembered seeing anything of his before. Of course, I did know Morgan Freeman. Went into that movie, was just blown away. What a great story. What great dialogue, the sequences, the characters, everybody, like there were people in that movie. Those characters were so deep and vibrant and rich, and I could just connect with them, and so many of them too, in such weird ways. All the things that happen, just great little stories after little stories that build into an overarching story. And then before you know it, you're like, holy shit, this is a Prison Break movie? You didn't even know it was coming, or at least I didn't know it was coming, and just blows you away how he handles all the things that he does. I mean, a lot of people agree that Shawshank is a great film. I don't think there's any question that this shouldn't be on a top 20 list. It was just phenomenal. Just absolutely a great movie.
Now, out of curiosity,
Tim Robbins, thank you, Tim Robbins.
You mentioned coming to this blind and kind of after the fact. How old were you when you saw this for the first time?
Gosh, I must have been, I don't know, when did this movie release? Because it'd been out for years before I caught it.
94, 95, something.
Oh, I caught it in the late 2000s. It was probably 2008, 2009 when I caught this movie, and it was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was.
It's one of those movies, like this is the quintessential like TBS movie, if that makes any sense, where you'll just be like flipping channels, and TBS must have gotten this one for cheap or something, because I don't think it did that well in theaters when it first came out. So they were able to purchase it, and they would play it like every weekend, every other weekend, and it would just come on and you'd be like, oh, I guess this is what I'm doing for the next 2 hours. Like, so I think I saw that movie probably a dozen times in bits and pieces before I ever actually put a DVD in my DVD player and actually watched it like beginning to end in one sitting. Now, there was no scenes that surprised me. It was just like okay, this is the actual like from beginning to end story of it. You know what I mean? Like you catch like 20 minutes here, half an hour there kind of a thing. Just an incredible movie. People are talking about the Stephen King book that this is based off. It's actually based off of a very short novella. I want to say the novella is only like 40 pages or something. It's not that much. I read at one point way back when. The acting, like, oh man, I have so much to say and so little to say because you've already touched on so much of it at the same time. The pain that he goes through, because you do spend most of the movie assuming that he did commit the murder of his wife, and kind of justifiably, and then finding out that no, in fact he was innocent, but they won't let him get away with it because he's too important to the jail's economy or to the superintendent's economy to even let him get out of it. So he's kind of stuck and he's trapped in this thing. By being useful, he's actually screwed himself more than if he was just a regular inmate.
Yeah. For me, it was actually different. See, I felt he did not commit the murder, and I was fine in that belief. However, I gave up hope that he would ever get out. I didn't think that there was a way out. I didn't think they were going to come back to that. I thought it was going to be his life in prison until he died or whatever. And so when that comes back up and they nail him in there and they're like, nope, you're doing our taxes for life. I was just like, what's going to happen? And then I'm like, oh my God, he is going to die in prison. He's going to commit suicide. This is the end. You know, Morgan Freeman's looking down at the end of the road to see if he steps out of his cell, and I'm looking down there too. I didn't know. And so it was a fantastic twist. For me, it was a twist. I think a lot of people probably saw it coming, but like I said, I walked in 100% blind to that movie, not even knowing it was actually like a prison movie or even a Prison Break movie.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really powerful, great acting, everything. It was just a wonderful story. Speaking of movies that when they come on, you just have to stop and give them their due. Coming in at number 2 is The Godfather. Right? I mean, if you don't know The Godfather, what the hell, dude? Like, this is just one of the best movies ever made, simply put. Great, epic film, acting, scripting, story, scoring, the dialogue. It's got it all. I don't even know like what I can say more. I mean, people should just understand this is one of those movies when I'm watching TV and I stumble across it, I'm done searching and I just sit and I at least give it a good 30 minutes, if not finish the entire movie. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like it's The Godfather.
Yeah.
You know what I did in Mixed Milk? I always call you Mexi Milk. Mexi Mike, I did enjoy The Godfather 2, but it was just a good sequel. It wasn't anything amazing.
I feel like I watched Godfather when I was in high school, knowing about how amazing it was supposed to be. And I watched it, I was like, it was good. Like, it just didn't do a whole lot for me. I'm not a big mobster fan. I thought it was fine. I thought it was incredibly well made. Watched it again with my wife. We watched all three of them actually in like a course of a week or so. And it was like, oh man, this is actually incredible. Like, this is really, really well made, but it's not one that I go back to all that much. Like you say, you watch it on TV whenever it's on, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, there was a show on Paramount Plus called The Offer. Have you heard of this?
I've seen this. I want to watch it. Is it? Tell me all about it.
It's so good. I want to say Miles Teller is the producer behind making this movie. And so watching how they did all these things and all the stuff going on behind the scene and like actually getting the mob involved in respect to some respect of how they actually got it done. Now going back and watching it and like seeing what Francis Ford Coppola was going through, seeing what they were getting through, like the fact they were like going back to Paramount over and over and over again, like, no, we need this. And Paramount's just like, no, you're not spending more money on this stupid movie. Like, why on earth would we spend money? Like, Paramount's almost going bankrupt. And they're like, this is such a waste. Mobster movies don't make money anymore. Like, why are you doing this? And like, he's just convincing him, like, no, we absolutely need this. We need to go to Italy. We need to do this thing. Like, it's so interesting. And then so watching it again after that, I fell in love with it all over again. So
I've only ever watched The Godfather from start to finish one time, and it was a very long time ago. And ever since then, it's just been a movie that I stumble across and I give it an hour or so.
Okay.
And that's like been it's all I needed. Like, so I just keep watching bits and pieces of it over and over and over. But I saw The Offer and I was like, man, I need to see that. So I'm glad it worked out. That's going on my homework assignment for sure, is The Offer, and check that out.
I bought Paramount Plus for a month and I was like, I have to get this done in that time frame because I'm not spending another, like, there's nothing on here other than this. I mean, I tried Halo, but but it's worth it for that 1 month. It's like, I don't know, $12 or something. Just get that one show in and then cancel your subscription. If you like The Godfather especially, it's 100% worth it. But even if you don't, I think The Offer was really well done. I realize I'm talking more about The Offer than Godfather. I've not seen Godfather 2 since that week with my wife. So I've only seen it once. I know that it's supposed to be phenomenal and I want to get back to it. I have no desire to ever go back to Godfather 3.
Yeah, Godfather 3 was horrible. They should have stopped at 2. 2 is really good. I don't think 2 is anything like the original, but it gave me what I needed in a sequel. I enjoyed it. I'm glad they made it. It added to the overall effect. 1 just set it up. I go back to 1 and I start listening to the things that they're saying in the dialogue and how the family operates and what they really mean when they say something to each other, and what they're saying, you know, verbatim are 2 kind of different things. You know, the whole, I gave him an offer he can't refuse. You know, he basically said, you're going to do this or I'm going to kill you. You can't refuse that offer. So, you know, and it's things like that to a much more subtle degree throughout the movie that really do it. Again, I'm a big fan of good dialogue, and it has amazing dialogue in that story. Okay, you ready to go to the ultimate #1 movie of Brian's list of favorite movies?
Before we get there,
okay,
I have to ask, or chat, make your guesses. What do you think his #1 is? I have my guess locked in, although I might be cheating a little bit because I feel like we've talked about this one already, haven't we?
I guess I kind of gave it away, huh?
A little bit.
You know from our conversation, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't 100% sure.
Goonies is fun, but no, Goonies is a great movie, really fun movie. The Shining, another great movie. Spaceballs, these are great movies, guys. You guys are coming up with great movies in there. I'll give you a hint. It's not one of the posters behind us. It's not. But
Uh-huh.
it's very, very closely related to the poster behind Dan. I am an absolute science fiction nut, and I think that Alien, and more so Aliens, the sequel, is my absolute all-time favorite movie. There's reasons that Aliens over Alien is my favorite. Okay, Alien is a fantastic movie with a powerful lead female actress. I hate when people say that they need more actresses they give them crappy lines like Captain Marvel and to be powerful lead characters. No, Sigourney Weaver. Okay, she was amazing in those movies. A powerful, strong female lead character that didn't need to shout it out in any kind of on-the-nose situation. She just rocked, okay?
Yeah.
So in Alien, that was a monster movie that was absolutely terrifying. This chest-bursting alien that comes out and then hunts you in the shadow with his drooly slime and everything. Super scary. They have very few weapons, and they're following it around with their motion trackers, and it's a really scary movie. But when they come back with the sequel and they make it a war drama, I was like, why can't people have this kind of creativity with a sequel in other genres? This was incredible. They took a team of these macho dudes with big guns, but not overly doing the muscles like they did in Predator. Also a great movie, though. They had realistic military guys who were supposed to be these badass hombres who can take down anything. And guess what? Sigourney Weaver shows them up by being a bigger badass. She goes through, just takes care of business, even though she is feminine in the ways that you want her to be feminine, and she's emotional and she's connected, and you've got a mother-daughter aspect that goes on, but it's not overbearing, it's just there, right?
Yep.
So all these little things that make her role in that movie so good, and then the practical and special effects that they use in this. I don't think it had many special effects, actually. I think it was all bodysuits and wires and stuff like that.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't remember they didn't, CGI wasn't a big thing back then. So it was a lot of people in bodysuits, which I can very much appreciate. In 3, we'll talk about 3.
Will we? We don't have to.
But in number 2, the immense, overwhelming amount of these spidery-like critters, these bugs that were overwhelming you. You felt like you were in a coffin, and they were spiders just pouring over the edges, coming after you.
Yeah.
And they had lots of guns and explosions. If you watch the director's cut, they used the turret system. They had to cut that out of there because the turrets were killing too many bugs, and they said that there's 50 or 60 families on the surface, and the turrets probably wiped out about 300 bugs, and so they had to cut that sequence out. But man, it's kick-ass when they light those puppies off. Oh, this is just an adrenaline rush, a fantastic science fiction movie, strong female lead, which I think is really important. We don't see enough of that today, at least not in the writing that I would like to see. It's too on the nose these days. And I just have so much fun with Aliens, the sequel. I think it took a fantastic, scary monster hunting you in the dark, flipped it on its head, made it a war drama, made it explosive, expanded it in every way possible. And I think it was just so much fun. I think the whole Alien franchise is wonderful to watch. I watch all of their movies, even when they're atrocious, like AVP Requiem. I still watch them. I'm super looking forward to the new Alien Romulus. I don't know if it's going to be a winner, but I'm going to be there. I liked all the new ones with with the newer ones. What are the names of the 2 new ones that just came out? I forget their names, but it's just completely slipped my mind right now. But those are great movies.
Yep. Prometheus?
I understand. Yeah, Prometheus, and the other one, a Predator
Different
movie,
thing.
but that was still really
Also
good.
really good.
Also, I enjoyed Prey a lot. Yeah, the Prometheus, when they go, and at the very end, you get a glimpse of an alien that really looks kind of like an alien. I understand people were kind of pissed off because they went to see an alien movie and there weren't really any aliens in it. So I get that. But it also, if you read the graphic novels, if you read the comic books and stuff, the alien is a virus.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that when it interacted with humans, you got the variation you saw in Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3 Resurrection. The fourth Alien is an abomination that tried to go on those principles of it being a virus, but it was so off the mark, such terrible acting, such terrible cinematography. Everything about that movie was garbage. Really didn't like it. They had some ideas of humanity of humanity coexisting with the synthetics, and they missed the point there. They really dropped the ball with the fourth movie. It's a total abomination. The third movie, I can very much appreciate what they tried to do. They tried to go from the war drama back to the scary, isolated, weaponless, just defenseless version.
I'm sorry, I'm not as familiar with 3 and 4. Is 3 the one in the prison, or is that 4?
3 is the one in the prison, the abandoned prison. So it's this labyrinth of darkness because it's an abandoned prison. It's a skeleton crew of prisoners that are there to maintain it. So this thing is super vast and huge, right? There's no way out. It's dark. They don't have any weapons except for some torches. And so it goes back to the original where it's a giant ship. It's a labyrinth, and they don't have any weapons. Only they're raising the stakes here because it's a bunch of rapists and murderers, and she's the only female around. So it makes it that much more scary for her. There's hardly any connections except for her and the doctor. And another spoiler, he gets killed early on in the film, unfortunately, right? They used special effects with the CGI. They went with a dog alien because it was born from the Rottweiler.
Okay.
So it was kind of cool, but if you rewatch this, the special effects are really shitty. Like, you can just see it doesn't fit right in the movie. At the time, it was pretty good. Watching the alien run fast on the ceilings instead of crawling slowly like in Aliens 2. I'll call it Aliens 2. I know there's no actual 2.
Yeah.
It was cool to see that. So I appreciate what they tried to do with 3, but she died. I don't really know how they bring her back. Like, it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Or no, that was 4. Sorry. In
I was
4,
going to say,
they
I
bring her
thought
back
3 is the
because
one
they
that she died, and then they
resurrect her in
cloned her or
4
something.
when she died in 3. In 3, they kill off Hicks and her daughter with some dialogue in the beginning. And
I was going to say, they killed Newt off screen.
Yeah, and that was lame. You had a great character dynamic there, and they just disregarded it, and I thought that was a waste. But like I said, I appreciate what they tried to do in 3, and then they kill her off. Also, the queen alien that's housed in her chest, the entire movie that takes a really, really long time to come out, I don't really get that. So I don't understand. Like, in the comics and stuff, the queens don't take that much longer to not digest, to whatever the word is, where they pop out. So that was kind of one of those things where they set up some rules and they didn't really play by them, because the dog alien pops out of that dog like fast and then grows to full size and it's going, you know. I did like the scene where the big dude's in the tunnel and he takes off his glasses and he's going fisticuffs with the alien in the smoke. That was really badass. I mean, he gets murdered obviously, but super cool scene. So 3 was cool, but 2 is my all-time favorite. Just it's so entertaining to watch. I've seen this movie probably 100 times.
Wow.
I usually watch it from start to finish. It's cool, man. It's just a cool movie. It's just a cool movie. So that's my number 1 film right there. A lot of people are probably not going to agree with that one, but for me,
nobody seems to be arguing with you. I don't know if it makes anybody's number 1, but nobody seems to be arguing that it's a bad movie or a bad pick. This one just came out on 4K recently, so I just picked this one up, and I've been looking forward to watching it. I haven't had a chance to actually like dive into it, but this is definitely one that I'm going to be checking out in the near future. I think I had a DVD copy, so it was kind of like grainy a little bit and doesn't look great on the big screen. So I'm really excited for this one. I've seen it before, obviously. I've seen it many times, but not 100, but many times.
If you can get the director's cut with the turret scene in there, that's so badass.
I will check if it's got that or not. I have no idea, to be honest. It came out at the same time as Abyss, and Abyss had both of them on it. So
I think there's like an extra 4 minutes or something like that of film in the director's cut. It's not a lot. It's mostly the turret scene. Hudson is walking through the spaceship as they take off, and he's talking about all their armaments, and he starts describing the turrets that are hanging up on the wall and stuff. That was cut out. And then when they weld all the doors shut so the aliens are funneled through certain areas, they set the turrets up in this one intersection to cover the 2 angles. And they keep coming and they keep coming, and they run all the turrets it's out of bullets except for one, which has like 7 rounds left in it. And the aliens don't know that it's out of bullets, and so they stop coming. It was really cool.
Isn't that in the original?
No, it's cut out.
Then I've
Because they
only seen
killed
the
two-
director's cut.
they killed too many aliens with that scene, and and in the dialogue from the beginning when she talks to one of those CEO guys, he says there's 50 to 60 families there, which doesn't leave enough room for how many aliens they kill off in that movie.
No, that checks out. That scene is so ingrained in me for what this movie is. That's shocking to me that that's not actually part of the original movie. That's weird.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I love I don't want to say tropes, there's not enough of them, but I love the movies that do this thing where like the first one is a completely different genre than the second movie. Because like Terminator 1 is much more of a horror film than Terminator 2 is as well. Terminator 2 is also a big action movie.
A great pick. Those are great movies too. I'm seeing everybody say stuff in chat. I have not seen anybody put anything in chat other than I don't know, Tango and Cash was kind of a cringe one back there. But you guys are pointing out some great movies. Gangs of New York, that's a fantastic film. Brotherhood of the Wolf, these are good movies you guys are talking about in here.
I have to say, I'm not familiar with Brotherhood of the Wolf. That one doesn't ring a bell.
It's cool fight sequences in that one.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving us your list. That was a ton of fun to go over. It's getting pretty late, and I know you said you had an early morning, so I'm assuming you need to wrap this up and get out of here.
Oh yeah, I'm having so much fun though. I didn't even notice time flying by.
That's totally fair. Shall we wrap this up though, and then we can stop recording and just kind of hang out for 5-10 minutes?
Absolutely.
Cool, man. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been a ton of fun. We're going to be back in 2 weeks with, we don't really know what, something that we're going to be going over. This was a great exercise though, to kind of give each other a better understanding of what kind of movies we like, what kind of movies you can expect to hear more from us. But we'll be back in a couple weeks. We're going to discuss what we're going to be going over with this show moving forward. But if you enjoyed this, hit that like button and please subscribe. It's going to help with the channel immensely. Run, Brian, you have a great day and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Dan. See you guys.
Okay, so no recording now. We're just kind of hanging out with people. We are still live though, so don't go saying nothing like you did last time. He took his headphones off. Damn it.
No, I heard that. I was just taking my hat off. It's getting hot in here.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so I have an idea for you that I'm going to run past you because we were kind of like, what are we going to talk about going forward? So I think on your Christmas show when you had me on, I described how I had bought a couple of equipment before I started streaming to make a podcast with friends.
Right.
What we were going to do back then was a show where we would go back through franchises and maybe like we'd have to start doing directors or stuff like that if we ran out of franchises. But essentially we'd go through franchises, try and watch the entire thing if we could, and then rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 as a franchise as a whole, not each individual movie. And then kind of like Top Gear, how they've got that board, if you've seen that, where they have all the racers and the speed that they can have. We'd have like a board, probably digital, not actually in real life, where we would actually rate the franchises and place them like, okay, this is, Indiana Jones, it's our 5th one. Where are we going to put it? Is it going to land ahead of Terminator, or is it going to go below Fast and the Furious? Like, where is this going to go?
And then every time we come back, we're adding a new franchise to the board and filtering it in.
Correct.
Nice. I like this, man. I love watching franchises of films too, so that you can really compare and contrast. And you start from the beginning and go all the way through it, and you'll be like, hey, I noticed something. There's an allusion in this one to this previous movie that I never caught because I never really watched them close enough. So this is a great idea.
Cool. So that could be the show for a while. Now, we're going to do this every other week. I don't know if I can watch an entire franchise in 2 weeks. That's just probably not going to happen. But we could do that like once a month.
Sure. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. What franchises do we want to start with? Or does chat want to pick it?
We can leave a poll up for chat if they want to give a couple of options. I don't know if there's any mods in chat at the moment. Nope, that's the wrong one. New poll. So this would be probably a month from now, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Sumia, you can heal in incursion and spotlight raids. You can heal. And if they die in incursion raids, they don't die in spotlight raids. They're two separate things. Fast and Furious, Bubba Hotep, you're killing me, man. I'm not gonna watch all of those. I can't do that. Those scripts were written in crayon for Vin Diesel.
I saw Bond film as the first one too, and I was just like, I'm not watching 48 movies.
No, yeah, they got to be a little bit shorter. Mad Max is fantastic. I wouldn't mind going through Mad Max again.
I've never seen most of the Mad Maxes, so I'm actually very okay with that one.
The first one's hard to get through. It's pretty rough. 2 and 3 are amazing. Of course, Fury Road, and then we have Furiosa. I think we should wait until Furiosa comes out, and then we can check all of them, right? It is? Oh, okay. I guess I'll go.
It's in
put that
theaters.
on my list. Oh, in theaters. Okay. Well, I can't.
But
do
I mean,
theaters.
it's doing terribly. So it's going to be on HBO
Oh,
or
is it
something.
doing terribly?
Very
Oh no, that sucks.
People seem to like it. Just nobody's going to watch it.
Oh, okay. Pitch Black was a lot of fun, Thunderdog. There were the Chronicles of Riddick really pissed me off. I thought that got really lame. I did like some of the later like I think they just called it Riddick, I think was pretty good. Star Wars is going to be tough. There's just so much content to cover there, Casey Wymie. Terminator's amazing. I wouldn't mind going through some Terminator. I could put that on the list as a possibility. That's still getting pretty long.
There's a lot of them, but I feel like they're fairly easy watches if you can find them. I don't know what services they're on. So you got Mad Max and Terminator.
Kevin says Lord of the Rings, and I've actually been meaning to go through them.
Oh.
I haven't really seen all of it. I don't know if that's worth it though.
We could do the X-Men movies leading up to Deadpool. That'd be kind of topical.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I wouldn't mind going back through the X-Men movies. I could watch that with my wife too.
I already have been. This is brilliant. I'm on number 3 with the kids.
Ooh, go for some Rambo. I didn't like the latest Rambo. It was a little too over the top and a little too political for my taste. I really enjoyed the first Rambo, and Rambo 2 was all right, I guess.
All right, and you want to put Lord of the Rings on? That gives us 5 options. We can let them go from there.
I'm still looking here, man. There's so many good Lord of the Rings. I'm not sure if I'm excited about Lord of the Rings, though.
Oh, I'm definitely not excited about it, but it'd be something we could talk about.
Ghostbusters isn't a terrible idea. That'd be funny.
Mad Max.
We can always come back to them too.
Well, yeah. If this is something that goes on for a while, we can get to all these eventually.
Bill and Ted just knock out a quick double feature.
There's 3.
Is there a third one? Oh, that's right.
Face the Music.
Oh my God, that's right.
And it's actually pretty freaking watchable.
I know. I've seen it. Yeah, I forgot about that one. It's not terrible. We could do Dark Knight series. That's not terrible. Oh, Jessica Jones, get out of here with that. Austin Powers, okay. Yeah, I kind of like, I've got Mad Max, Terminator, X-Men movies, Lord of the Rings. What else is there? You said you had 5?
I had Rambo on that list, but we can delete that.
Starship Troopers is a fantastic movie.
Do the Jay and Silent Bob
Tucker.
franchise in a freaking heartbeat. Are you familiar with Kevin Smith?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of Jay and Silent Bob or Kevin Smith's other works.
Fair enough.
I don't have a problem with them. It's just maybe not my bag, I guess.
Nope, that's totally fair. All right, well, I'm going to start the poll up with these ones because, again, at some point I do need to get to bed, even if you're wide awake now. But that gives them a couple options, and realistically, if this is something we do a couple of times, we can always get around to a bunch more. So we just got to figure out what our first one is, and then we can kind of go from there.
Holmes, I don't want to sit through Transformers again. I've watched all of them. They're entertaining, but they're kind of like Fast and Furious for me. There's just nothing to them. It's just explosions. It's Michael Bay explosions, man. That's all Transformers is Michael Bay explosions. I've already had rants about Michael Bay explosions. Sharknado series, I have not seen those. I've heard much about them. Isn't Gremlins just 2 movies?
Gremlins is just 2 movies. I've never seen Sharknado. I like one of the Transformers movies.
Ooh, Die Hard movies. That's fun. That's a fun watch. I think I like Die Hard 2 way more than I should.
That one takes a nosedive pretty quickly. 1 and 3 are excellent. 2 is really good.
1 and 3.
And then after that, it's like, just stop.
Yep. I like I said, I think I like 2 more than I should. I know everybody hates that, and I know why. Ooh, Lethal Weapon. I wouldn't mind going back to Lethal Weapon either. Those are good ones too.
I actually was just thinking the other day, like I've only seen Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 once each, and I was like, I should go through those again. Like I should watch them again. I don't know if I've ever seen 4, to be honest.
Yeah, you're not missing anything with 4. John Wick's fun. That's fun. But see, the thing is with John Wick, if you've seen one of them, you've seen all of them. John Wick is just the same movie extended out. And that's not a complaint, really. I enjoyed the first one, and I have enjoyed every single one since. But it just doesn't really bring anything to it.
I see
Check
you,
the
Jacob.
Discord, Dan.
It's hard to do because the Discord is Brian big on screen. Like if I now Brian looks weird. Oh, good lord, our group chat's gone insane. You can go through.
Holmes, you can send it to me. I've got extra monitors.
I do too, but can I bring you up on it? Oh, I can. No, I can't. No.
If you do a window capture, you can bring me up anywhere you want, and it'll still pop me in place. Unbreakable was fun. I don't know if I want to sit through them again though.
Unbreakable, Glass, and Split.
Yes, that's it.
I've never seen Glass, whatever the last one was. I liked Split.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Expendables. Split was probably the best one of the 3. Unbreakable was okay too, I guess.
I liked Unbreakable at
okay.
the time. I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow. Taken, give me a break.
I liked the first Taken. I didn't like anything after that. I'm not saying it was good. I'm saying I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't regret it. I hated Avatar. I'm like the only person who doesn't like Avatar. I just see, here's the thing. I watched the movie Fern Gully as a kid, and that's Avatar. I watched Avatar before Avatar was cool, okay? And I just didn't, making it 3D wasn't that big a deal. I still haven't seen the latest Toy Story movie. My kids say it sucks and they refuse to watch it with me. And I don't want to watch a kid's movie without my kids. So I don't get to watch the 4th one, I guess.
That's why I didn't, when we were doing our top 5 Disney movies, I couldn't go back and watch Robin Hood because I'm like, I'm not watching it by myself. And my youngest is like, no, that's a grandpa movie. I'm not watching it with you. I'm like, oh, all right.
All the airport movies of the 60s and 70s. I thought you were going to say Airplane.
I was going to say, are there more than 2? I thought there was just 2 airplanes.
Was it Loaded Gun? Was it Loaded Gun was the
Naked
comedic
Gun.
version? Naked Gun, that was it. Naked Gun, yeah. Those are funny. Pirates of the Caribbean, I need to go through and watch those. That's actually not a bad list, the Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's one they're kind of all the same.
I wouldn't be opposed to the Apes movies if we only do the newer Apes movies, not the 60s ones.
The new ones from Mark Wahlberg on?
No. From, oh, what is his name? Green Goblin in the Sam Raimi movies. Not Willem Dafoe. The other, what is his name? Cool. Okay, that was a total mind fart.
I don't remember. I don't know which one you're talking about. The Matrix, dude, I could definitely do The Matrix. I used to watch The Matrix a lot. The Matrix almost made this list, except The Matrix is kind of, well, Matrix 1 is great. All the rest of them are really crap, but I enjoy them. The Matrix is one of those where I always get high and watch them because they're so much better that way.
James Franco, for the record.
James Franco, okay.
Okay, so I'm assuming you've seen all 4 Matrixes.
Yes.
What did you think of the 4th one?
It was better than I thought it was going to be. Now, I set the bar really low going into it, but I was pleasantly surprised that it was kind of fun because it kind of made you wonder, is he insane or is he going to kill himself, right? It kind of had that same feel like Inception when she's about to jump off the window and commit suicide and you're not really sure if she's actually committing suicide or if she's just going to wake up from a dream.
Yeah.
It kind of had that feel to it, and I was pleasantly surprised by 4. Again, it wasn't an amazing movie, and I went in with a low bar, so it was okay.
I kind of agree with you. I thoroughly enjoyed it until they actually went to the Matrix. And then it was like, I couldn't care less from then on. Like it fell apart entirely. But the opening scene where he's like just living his real life and not sure if he's insane or if he dreamed the whole thing up. I was like, this is not the movie I anticipated. And I'm 100% in. And then they're just like,
I was there for it. It was great.
Nope, the Matrix is real. And you're just, I'm like, okay, never mind. Like you had something here.
Jurassic Park is a great franchise, I think, that maybe should go on a list at some point. We can come back to that.
For sure. Currently, X-Men is leading the list, but not many people have actually voted. Oh, never mind. Mad Max just tied it up.
The Superman movies? That's not a terrible idea.
I've never seen most of them, so that'd be interesting. I've seen one, and that's it. Assuming we're talking about the Donner ones and not like Man of Steel.
Yeah. All right, go vote, everybody. Go vote. Let's see where this is gonna go.
Oh, Mad Max is taking the lead. Oh, I'd actually
Teenage
like
Mutant
the.
Ninja Turtles.
In a weird way, I'd like to go back to the Ninja Turtles. I haven't seen those movies since the 90s.
Oh, some of those are so brutal. The first one was really solid, but everything else was so atrocious. The remakes with more Michael Bay explosions was more Michael Bay explosions. Any Pauly Shore movie? He's a franchising himself.
In my brain, I feel like I really liked Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, but I was also like 7. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's because it had Vanilla Ice in it. Go Ninja,
clearly.
go Ninja, go!
How well you know me.
Emma Frost, at the top of chat, there's a current poll that says what franchise should, and you click the little arrow there, and it drops down. Did I get your message? Well, I'm not even in Discord. I'm sorry. Let's see.
Oh,
here.
I have multiple screens.
You and Run go through. Am I supposed to? I'm going to read this to myself before I do anything here.
Good call. Good call. I'm super curious what's going on in our group chat. There's like 40 messages. This is good content.
Okay.
We both just look at our screens and read.
I can do that. I can send you. You want that list of the top 30 that I just went through? Is that what you want, Holmes?
I wrote down most of them, like the top 20. I didn't do the honorable
I've got a screenshot of the list that I can go off of here.
Nice.
There we
Commander
go.
Foss is saying Spider-Man. Please don't make me do Spider-Mans again.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go back to the Sam Raimi ones. Not if I don't have to.
The
I know that's an
Equalizer.
unpopular opinion, but
Yeah, I don't know why that's not showing up for you, Frost. Sorry. If you're not logged into an account, it won't do it either. So if you're just like visiting or something, like.
I mean, he's showing
think
up
there's
as
a way
his
to-
name, so theoretically he should be here as logged
Yeah,
in.
I guess that's true. You wouldn't even be able to type in chat if you weren't logged in. Here, never mind.
I love that there are so many great options being thrown at us, and hopefully that means there's gonna be a lot of people coming back to actually watch us talk about these movies. Mad Max is in the lead, which is fun because I've not seen most of those. X-Men's right behind it. Nobody wants to see Dark Knight or Rambo, which is okay.
Fine with me. You know what? I do enjoy the Terminators. I wouldn't mind going back and seeing this. Honestly, all these 3 at the top of the list look great to me.
I mean, we're gonna be doing this for a while. We could do all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I have to see how quickly I can burn through a
for
movie.
them too.
Because when I started doing this with my friends, I wasn't streaming, I wasn't YouTubing, like this is all I did. So it was a lot easier to be like, oh, I'm gonna watch. Oh, I also had one less kid. It was a lot easier to like, oh, I'm gonna sit and watch like 3 movies on a Saturday. Whereas like now that's unheard of. Do the 30s, 40s Universal monster movies? No. You'd always try to get through more 2-3 movie series first. Looks like Mad Max is the winner with 6 votes. All right, now
Wow. Way to get in there, everybody.
that's what Mad Max Beyond
It's-
Thunderdome.
It's Mad Max, and then it's Mad Max the Road Warrior, then Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, then Fury Road, and then Furiosa. Which by the time I get through this, hopefully Furiosa will be a streaming one, because I mean, I wouldn't mind going and see it in theaters. I just haven't been to a movie theater in a while.
Yeah, you mentioned that a minute ago. Is that a choice? Is that life?
I haven't been to a theater. I think I went to one movie since COVID, and it's just not the same experience. The theaters are kind of empty. And there is a movie theater, however, that called the Tap House that's down in a city near me. And you can go there and they serve you food at a table while you sit and watch the movie. And that's pretty cool. And I'm thinking I'm going to go there and see a movie with my wife, but I got to find a sitter. And money's tight in my house right now. So, you know, spending that kind of money on a movie gets expensive. I was super pissed. I had to spend $4 to re-rent Citizen Kane again. And so, like, I didn't want to spend the money on Godzilla 1 to watch it. So I was stoked that it finally came through on Netflix. And I know it's stupid. It's chump change, but like I said, we're on a super budget these days, just trying to get through until my wife finishes school. So
I'm looking up your channel to subscribe to you to pay you back at least a little bit of that $4.
So the luxuries just kind of come to a screeching halt right now, and we're just trying to make ends meet until we get through.
No, that's totally fair. I'm lucky. There's a couple of pretty cheap theaters in my town. One of which plays older movies, which is nice to go and see. Like, well, that's how actually I saw Citizen Kane for the first time for like $2 or something. But then there's another one that plays newer movies, and it's actually a shockingly nice theater for how nobody goes to it. So like,
Right.
there's a guy in chat right now, Jay Alexander. We've gone to that one a couple of times, and the last time we went to see Poor Things, and they screwed that movie up so badly. Like the power went off at one point, the lights came on, so they gave us free tickets. So like I've got a free ticket to go see something at some point. But you give me a weird look. Have you not heard of Poor Things?
Never heard of that before in my life. I have no idea what that is.
Fair enough. It's Emma Stone. It's a very weird movie. I liked it, but I'm not recommending it. It's a very artsy movie. Every year I try and watch all the Oscar nominated movies, and it was one of the Oscar nominated. So most people laugh at me when I tell them that, but that's just one of my things.
Okay. It's 11 o'clock my time. I got to get to bed, man.
Yeah, that makes it midnight for me. So
I got to call it a day. I'm going to start watching Mad Max, and then shoot, there was something else that I was supposed to put on my homework. Did you ever watch Old Boy, by the way?
I didn't. I was gonna watch it last night, and then I ended up sitting with my wife and watching that other one with her. So like, I could either watch Old Boy by myself in the basement, or I could have joined my wife for some time when the kids weren't home. So I was like, I'm gonna go hang with my wife, watch something terrible.
Well, I highly recommend that you watch The Right Stuff, which I think you're going to enjoy that, and I think you're going to also enjoy Primer. But be ready to focus on Primer. That one's very cerebral. You really have to think about it because there's a lot going on, and it's all done through dialogue, and it's hard to follow because it's a complicated time travel that deals with real paradox issues. So
yeah, I have Heavy Metal, Primer, and The Right Stuff
Metal, yeah.
all highlighted as get to. I don't know that I'll get to them by the next time we talk, but
dude, Heavy Metal, you can get lit and watch that. You're just gonna enjoy it from start to finish. It doesn't matter. That's just a fun movie for sure.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right, man. You have a great night, and we will catch you next time.
All right, take care, Dan. I will see you next time. Thanks, chat, for letting me hang out with y'all.
Cheers. All right. I'm also gonna be heading off in a second, so we'll find out who is live here. But thank you all so much for hanging out with us. That was a ton of fun. I'm gonna be editing this hopefully at some point and actually putting it up on YouTube. So if you hit !movies, you can head over to that YouTube channel. It is different from the gaming channel that you hopefully know me for. Or you can hit ! Discord, join us over there, and then you'll know when things come up and go live. New question for the end. What are you saying, Dingo? I don't know what you're trying to say. Thank you all for hanging out. That was a ton of fun. You guys have a great night. Oh, trivia. Yeah. Good call, Dingo. Good call. Don't like that card. Which 2010 film saw Russell Brand reprise the character of Aldous Snow? Aldous Snow? I don't even know that one. Good luck, guys. First two people in the comments get points. I think we all know Mongolian #1 movie. Well, I did it 2 weeks ago, so hopefully you do. It is so weird not having someone to talk to or music playing. It's so dead quiet. Oh, also, I should probably close that so people aren't just seeing what's going on over there. All right. We are going to be back on Saturday morning playing regular Strike Force and stuff like that, as well as we're going to have Ambassador Al and Sen Raven on for some movie trivia starting at 11 a.m. So if you want to hit that follow button so you know when that goes live, you can come join us over there. And next week, I'm going to be joined by my brother for a top 5 list. We're doing top 5 twist endings to movies. So that's a fun one we're going to be talking about. And then 2 weeks from now, we'll have Run 7 back and we'll do something with him. I don't know if we'll have the Mad Max series ready to go by then, but we'll have something. Burnsy got it. Get him to the Greek. That's good for 5 more points. Burnsy, you got 10 points on the table. If you are subscribed, and you can subscribe with Twitch Prime, which is absolutely free to you if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, that's 10 points. That'll put you in the lead for the October anniversary giveaway. Other than that, everybody, you guys have a great night. Dingo jumping in there for the 2 points. Sure, why not? You have a great night, and we'll catch you on Saturday. Cheers, everybody. Bye. Oh, wait. Let's see if we can raid somebody. I was just gonna leave you all hanging. That's lame. Let's see. Where is the raid button? Who's live? Ah, that's a new one. Is there nobody I know live? Raid. Huh, there must not be anybody playing Marvel Strike Force right now. Good for everybody for not doing that. Comrades live? Why is it not showing up on my list? Usually it gives me the options. Weird. There we go. Okay, got him. All right, everybody, go give Comrade Red some love, and we'll catch you on Saturday. But what is happening? Why is it so weird? There we go. Raid now. Bye.